Chapter 5501. They don't look friendly. Looks like an evil guest is here. Lin Yi raised an eyebrow as he looked at the undisguised murderous aura in the air. They'd have to be blind to have come with good intentions if they said they were here with good intentions. Xinejia's expression changed slightly. Four-winged black eagle is a flying spiritual beast of the evil warding sect. Other sects don't have such a rare flying spiritual beast. That old man, is he the supreme elder of the evil warding sect, Enchanting? Evil warding sect? Why did he come to our green cloud sect so aggressively? Lin Yi found the name familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard of this small sect. Xinejia whispered, Grand Master, Enchanting is a peak late nascent soul cultivator. He's only one step away from the peak nascent soul cultivator. Because of the evil warding sect's evil techniques, they specialize in devouring primordial spirits to cultivate. Very few people dare to mess with them. Devouring primordial spirit? Lin Yi had a strange expression. Should I tell you that I devoured the heaven-devouring crocodile's primordial spirit? But after listening to Xinejia's words, Lin Yi recalled that when his primordial spirit was just projected into the mortal world, he was chased by someone from the sect of warding off evil. After he failed, another one came. Could it be that these two people were exposed? Thinking about it, Lin Yi didn't really care. So what if he was exposed? Lin Yi wouldn't be afraid. It was just a warding off evil sect, doing all sorts of evil things all the time. Lin Yi didn't really care about them. In just a few words, the four-winged black eagle flew above Lin Yi's head. It flapped its wings and hovered for a while. Then, the old man who looked like Enchanting jumped down easily. As the leader of the Green Cloud sect, Xinejia immediately cupped his fists and said, I am the new leader of the Green Cloud sect. Are you Senior Enchanting from the evil warding sect? I am Enchanting. Who are you? How dare you call yourself the leader? Where is Qinzhou? Enchanting had no intention of hiding his identity, but from his words, it seemed that he was completely unaware of the recent changes in Jadian sect. Otherwise, he would not have asked Qinzhou. The former Supreme Elder Qinzhou betrayed the sect and has already. Xinejia was about to answer but was shocked by a sudden shout. Junior! Hand over your life. Enchanting suddenly yelled and interrupted Xinejia. At the same time, he attacked Lin Yi. After all, he was an expert at the peak of the late nascent soul realm. Xinejia and Hong Zijuan did not have any time to react to his sudden attack. If Enchanting's target was the two of them, they would not even be able to take one hit. However, Lin Yi wasn't Xinejia, nor was he someone Hong Zijuan could compare to. When he thought about how this old man Enchanting was related to the two kids who were after him in the common world, Lin Yi raised his guard. Enchanting's attack was indeed fast, but Lin Yi's reaction was even faster. With a thought, 3 consciousness whirlpools appeared around Enchanting in a triangular formation, surrounding him. Lin Yi's consciousness whirlpool had already surpassed the Tai Shi primordial spirit in terms of power. It had just formed, and it had a huge tearing effect on Enchanting's primordial spirit. Ah! Enchanting was caught off guard and suffered a huge loss. As he screamed, his body shook violently. His attack just now had completely missed. Xinejia and Hong Zijuan broke out in a cold sweat. They instinctively wanted to stand in front of Lin Yi to protect him. However, Lin Yi did not even blink and easily resolved Enchanting's attack. The two were amazed. The reason why Lin Yi didn't use the soul hook hand was because he wanted to find out what was going on. Why did this Enchanting think he was Lin Yi and attack him the moment he saw him? Don't be nervous. He's just a cultivator at the peak of the late nascent soul realm. It's no big deal. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said to Xinejia and Hong Zijuan nonchalantly. The consciousness whirlpool was a continuous attack that directly affected the primordial spirit. Lin Yi estimated that in a few breaths' time, Enchanting would completely lose the ability to resist. His primordial spirit would also weaken. As for Lin Yi's questioning, his ability to resist would naturally be at its lowest. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that Enchanting only screamed at the beginning. Then, there was a black light that flashed across his body, and the 3 consciousness whirlpools that Lin Yi sent out disappeared. Junior, you really have some skills. No wonder my good grandson died in your hands. Enchanting panted heavily a few times, then stared coldly at Lin Yi and said. From the alertness in his eyes, it could be seen that Enchanting was quite fearful of Lin Yi's methods. However, Enchanting didn't expect that Lin Yi was also very shocked. Although the consciousness whirlpool was only a small trick, it was the first time that Lin Yi used it after completely mastering it. How could it fail just like that? Previously, when he was only at the small success level, he could already use it to easily suppress the sea crab. In particular, the black light that flashed across Enchanting's body made Lin Yi even more fearful. This was because even Lin Yi's consciousness could not capture the shape of that black light. If he forcefully approached it, he felt like his consciousness was being melted. This made Lin Yi suspect that if he used the soul hook palm, would it be the same? Old man, who's your grandson? If he's some nameless person, then there's no need to say anything. Lin Yi said calmly. Even though he was fearful, he would never let this old man know. Enchanting snorted and said, do you still want to quibble? No matter what you say, this old man's grandson died in your hands. That is definitely not wrong. Hee, there are too many trash that have died in my hands. Who knows which pile of trash your grandson is? Lin Yi casually said, but in his heart, he was analyzing the meaning behind Enchanting's words. It seemed like this evil warding sect had some kind of evil method to know who their disciples died to. As expected, Enchanting immediately answered Lin Yi's question. Junior, don't you know our evil warding sect's blood soul mark? Since you dared to kill this old man's grandson, even if you run to the ends of the earth, you will not be able to escape the blood soul mark. If this old man didn't just come out of seclusion, you wouldn't be able to live for so long. Lin Yi suddenly understood. So this was what was going on. It seemed like this blood soul curse would leave a blood soul mark on the killer when the evil warding sect's disciple died. This would lead the sect to the killer. However, this method should only be used by a small number of disciples. Otherwise, Enchanting would not only say that Lin Yi killed his grandson. Chapter 5502. No, Lin Yi suddenly realized that his thinking was too simple. This blood soul imprint was most likely directly imprinted on his primordial spirit. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's current primordial spirit state, how could there be any imprint left? Not only that, Lin Yi had checked many times and didn't find anything wrong with the soul. Clearly, this blood soul mark was very well hidden. Even with Lin Yi's powerful soul, he couldn't find it. I don't know about the blood soul mark. If it's your evil warding sect, isn't it famous for the evil warding sword skill? Your grandson was adopted, right? Lin Yi thought quickly, but he was just talking nonsense. However, Enchanting probably didn't know what the evil warding sword skill was. Otherwise, he would definitely be furious. Evil warding sword skill? Is it very strong? Junior, don't even think about changing the topic. My grandson is naturally my biological son. Today, I will make you accompany my grandson in death. Enchanting roared and prepared to attack again. Although he was a bit afraid of Lin Yi's methods, Enchanting also understood that Lin Yi was only a soul and used a soul attack. Against any sect, this was enough to be invincible. However, their evil warding sect was a sect that specialized in dealing with souls. Taking a closer look, wasn't Lin Yi's Yuanshan the best nourishment for him? Enchanting originally wanted to take revenge for his grandson, Enjiping, but now he realized that taking down Lin Yi was also very beneficial to him. This time, Enchanting went into seclusion in order to break through to the peak of nascent soul. Unfortunately, he failed at the last moment. After he came out, he discovered that his grandson was dead and that the blood soul mark was moving at high speed. He immediately chased after him without a care for anything else. Unexpectedly, he discovered that while he was taking revenge for his grandson, he might also obtain an opportunity to break through. What could be better than this? Enchanting raised his right hand, and the palm-sized piece of black wood in his hand suddenly expanded. It turned into a 1.5-meter-long wooden staff. There was also a layer of faint black light on the staff. This made Lin Yi very wary. What exactly was this black light? Lin Yi's expression was extremely grave. The warning from the jade indicated that Enchanting's wooden staff, or rather, the black light on the staff, was a dangerous item that could harm Lin Yi. It wasn't just his primordial spirit. If Lin Yi transformed into a primordial spirit, he would probably suffer the same fate. Moreover, at this point, Lin Yi could basically conclude that even if he used his ultimate weapon, the soul-reaping hand, he would most likely not be able to pose a threat to Enchanting. Martial Granduncle, be careful. Xianijia was caught off guard the first time, but now he was on full alert. Seeing Enchanting attack again, he yelled and rushed forward with his sword. Although he had just reached the nascent soul realm, Lin Yi was someone he truly respected and acknowledged. No matter what, he couldn't just watch Lin Yi get attacked. Hong Zijuan clenched his teeth and attacked as well. Although his strength was nothing in front of Enchanting, there was no way he could back down now. Two streaks of sword light intertwined from the left and right, trying to stop Enchanting's black wooden staff. However, before the two sides even intersected, Hong Zijuan's sword light was completely disrupted. He grunted and flew backwards. In front of Enchanting, who was at the peak of the late stage of the nascent soul realm, Hong Zijuan didn't even have the right to attack. Xianijia, on the other hand, only managed to hold on for a second longer before he involuntarily took a few steps back. Lin Yi's face was as dark as water. He yelled, "Back off." Then, he activated the soul hook palm. Although Lin Yi felt that the chances of success were not high, he still had to try. The result was as expected. The soul hook palm failed for the first time. Enchanting's primordial spirit did not move at all. After the previous whirlpool, Enchanting seemed to have strengthened his defense. When Lin Yi's soul hook palm landed, Enchanting's body flashed with black light again. The soul hook palm was like a balloon landing on a nail, completely dispersing. Ha ha ha. Junior, your divine sense attack method is ineffective against this old man. Enchanting laughed proudly, but in his heart, he was secretly shocked. This junior was indeed powerful. Even though he had prepared with all his strength, his movements had still been hindered by this attack. His own attack had also been interrupted. If he had not been prepared, he would have suffered greatly. Lin Yi snorted coldly and did not reply. Instead, he put his hands together and did three things at once. At the same time, he condensed his true chi pill fire, and divine sense pill fire together. On the way back to the Green Cloud sect, Lin Yi had thought about this when he had nothing to do. Since the divine sense pill fire could not be used for alchemy, then he would use it to make alchemy bombs. The original true chi pill fire was already very powerful, but it required too much time. It could not be used as a conventional weapon. However, after adding the divine sense pill fire, Lin Yi found that the speed of condensing was much faster. In other words, the power of the condensed alchemy bombs was much stronger. This much was more than 10 times, and it would increase as time passed. Enchanting's attack was interrupted by the soul hook palm, but it only paused for a moment. Then, he once again handed the black wooden staff to Lin Yi. There was only a short moment left for Lin Yi. The 3-in-1 true chi pill fire bomb naturally could not be condensed slowly. Lin Yi tapped his feet lightly, and as his body flew back, he threw the small alchemy bomb in his palm. This was the first time the 3-in-1 alchemy bomb was used in actual combat. Lin Yi did not know what the result would be, so he did not have high hopes. He just wanted to block Enchanting's black wooden staff and buy more time for himself. However, What surprised Lin Yi was that when this small alchemy bomb met the tip of the black wooden staff with lightning speed, it completely exploded. This was a directional explosion. All the explosive power was concentrated in the direction of the black wooden staff, which was Enchanting's body. What is this? Enchanting was shocked. His black wooden staff had a shocking heat and destructive power. If not for the protection of the true chi on the black wooden staff, the black wooden staff might have been incinerated. Furthermore, the flames that erupted along the black wooden staff made Enchanting feel slightly uneasy. He could only use all his strength to retreat, and at the same time, use all his strength to resist. In the end, he did not suffer too much damage. He just looked a little haggard. Lin Yi retreated 7 or 8 steps before stopping. He thought to himself that he was lucky. Chapter 5503. Fortunately, with the addition of the divine sense alchemic fire, Lin Yi was able to exert a little influence on the alchemic fire bomb. It formed a directional explosion and gathered all the power together to force Enchanting back. If this alchemic fire bomb was a little bigger, Lin Yi might not be able to control it. In other words, a more powerful alchemic fire bomb might not have the same effect. It might even hurt him. Grand Master, are you okay? Although Enchanting was pushed back, he was not injured. After he stabilized himself, he immediately came to Lin Yi's side and asked with concern. Lin Yi did not bother to look at Enchanting. He stared at Enchanting and said, "You and Hong Zijuan leave immediately. Otherwise, you will distract me." "Yes, Grand Master." Enchanting hesitated for a while but immediately nodded in agreement. This was also because he had confidence in Lin Yi. He felt that he would only be a burden if he stayed. "You have to be careful. If you really can't do it, retreat into the sect." After saying that, Enchanting quickly retreated into the Green Cloud sect with Hong Zijuan. Then, he watched the situation on Lin Yi's side from afar. "Junior, you do have some tricks up your sleeve. I really underestimated you. In that case, to show my respect, I will be more serious." Enchanting's face was ferocious. He had lost to Lin Yi time and time again. Enchanting was obviously angry. Lin Yi laughed, "Just get serious and die faster. You're already so old, and I've shown you mercy a few times already. You still have the nerve to talk nonsense in front of me." Both of them were not willing to be at a disadvantage in their words. They were also secretly accumulating power. Lin Yi could only rely on this 3-in-1 super alchemic fire bomb. Although it was not easy to control the bigger it was, if he wanted to kill Enchanting, he could only desperately increase its power. Of course, Lin Yi still had a trump card, the 5 elements murderous aura. However, with his primordial spirit's great perfection foundation establishment ability, it was hard to say if the 5 elements murderous aura could cause fatal damage to Enchanting. "Junior, do you only know how to talk? Hurry up and accept your death." Enchanting sneered. Then, he waved his right sleeve, creating a powerful suction force. This was the evil warding sex cultivation technique that targeted the soul. Previously, Enchanting had indeed underestimated Lin Yi. Even though he suffered some losses in Lin Yi's hands, he still didn't take him seriously. Only now did Enchanting finally show his true power. Although Lin Yi already knew that the evil warding sect was going to fight, he still couldn't defend himself. His Yuanshan didn't have much resistance against Enchanting, who was at the peak of late-stage, nascent soul realm. However, Lin Yi didn't panic. The 3-in-1 pill fire bomb couldn't hit anyone if it was far away. Since Enchanting came to him, Lin Yi didn't mind giving him a big gift. When he was 3 meters away, Lin Yi threw the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb. With the inertia of the pulling force and Lin Yi's own power, the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb instantly appeared in front of Enchanting. Enchanting had a mocking smile. "Do you think I will fall for the same thing again?" As he spoke, the pulling force in Enchanting's sleeve suddenly reversed and became a powerful repulsive force that pushed Lin Yi and the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb away. If the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb didn't have the spiritual sense pill fire, then perhaps this cultivation method that targeted the Yuanshan wouldn't be able to affect it. However, with the spiritual sense pill fire, whether it was the pulling force or the repulsive force, it was no different from Lin Yi's Yuanshan. Enchanting had already noticed that Lin Yi was forming the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb. Enchanting was indeed guarding against this move from Lin Yi. He pulled Lin Yi's Yuanshan over so that Lin Yi would fall into the trap. The truth was that this plan went very smoothly. Of course, this was Enchanting's idea. A mocking smile appeared on Lin Yi's face as he said faintly, "I think you'll really suffer a second time." As he spoke, the 3-in-1 pill fire bomb exploded. This time, although Lin Yi couldn't control the direction of the explosion, he could control the time of the explosion. Since he had already seen this move from the evil warding sect, how could Lin Yi not have a countermeasure? It would be best if he could send the bomb over smoothly. If that didn't work, he could just detonate it when he got close. Now, he was going to detonate it. While Enchanting used the repulsive force to send Lin Yi away, Lin Yi also retreated with all his might. He flew out of the range of the pill fire bomb with lightning speed. Unfortunately, the power this time was a little weaker. Although there was a huge pit in the ground, Enchanting managed to escape from the edge of the pit at the last moment. Ah! Damn Junior. I will definitely cut you into pieces. Enchanting was really mad. He thought that everything was under his control, but who knew that it wasn't the case at all. Every step he took seemed to have been calculated by Lin Yi. Casually extinguishing the sparks on his clothes and hair, Enchanting shook his left sleeve, and the 3 blood-colored wolves expanded in the wind. When they came out of his sleeve, they were only the size of 3 fingernails, but when they landed on the ground, they were as thick as calves. Blood spirit wolves. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes, and his expression became serious. When he had just arrived in the mortal world, he had seen the blood spirit cats of the evil warding sect. He knew that these vicious creatures specialized in dealing with the Yuan spirit. Although Lin Yi also had a pill fire that could restrain them, the problem was that there was Enchanting next to him. Furthermore, these 3 blood spirit wolves were not something the 2 brats' blood spirit cats could compare to. At least you know your stuff. Dying to the mouths of this old man's blood spirit wolves isn't an injustice. Enchanting sneered. Then, he commanded the 3 blood spirit wolves to attack together, and he once again used the Yuan spirit pulling technique to restrict Lin Yi's mobility. With a thought, Lin Yi produced 3 divine sense pill fires, which went to meet the 3 blood spirit wolves. However, these 3 blood spirit wolves were indeed not ordinary. They advanced and retreated in an orderly manner, and their speed was as fast as lightning. They easily dodged the attack of Lin Yi's pill fire. Seeing Enchanting's sinister old face getting closer and closer, and this old man even raised the black wooden staff in his hand, Lin Yi's expression was calm. The 5 elemental killing aura turned into a flood dragon that roared and charged at Enchanting. At such a close distance, and with Enchanting actively pulling Lin Yi over, he never thought that he would suddenly be attacked by Lin Yi. Chapter 5504. The most important thing was that Lin Yi had used the core fire bomb twice, which made Enchanting think that it was Lin Yi's strongest attack. Since Lin Yi had just used a core fire bomb, it was obvious that he was at his weakest. Therefore, he was hit by Lin Yi's 5 elements killing aura. At the same time, after the 3 blood spirit wolves avoided Lin Yi's core fire bomb, they pounced at Lin Yi from different angles. They opened their mouths and bit at Lin Yi's primordial spirit. Lin Yi did not care about these 3 blood spirit wolves at all. He did not care if the 3 core fires could stop these blood spirit wolves, because he was a primordial spirit. That's right, primordial spirits were the best food for blood spirit wolves, but Lin Yi's primordial spirit was different. He had learned how to condense the core fire bomb. Now, as long as Lin Yi wanted to, his entire primordial spirit could turn into a ball of core fire at any time. Therefore, these 3 blood spirit wolves were destined to have 3 tragedies. When they bit Lin Yi's body surged with core fire. This was definitely the natural enemy of primordial spirits like the blood spirit wolves, and it was the most invincible kind of natural enemy. They did not even have time to howl before the 3 blood spirit wolves were completely annihilated. Enchanting spat out a mouthful of blood. He had already been injured quite badly by the killing intent of the 5 elements because he had been caught off guard. Now that the 3 blood spirit wolves had been killed, his injuries were even worse. Even his spirit was instantly weakened. "Old man, are you serious? Do you want to die faster? What a waste of time." Lin Yi continued to mock Enchanting, but his hands did not stop. The frenzied fire 8 trigrams palm landed on Enchanting's face. It was a pity that the strength of Lin Yi's primordial spirit was only at the peak of the foundation stage. If he was facing a peak of the late Jidun stage, whether it was the murderous spirit of the 5 elements or the raging fire 8 trigrams palm, it could pose a fatal threat. But now he was facing a cultivator at the peak of the late Yuanying stage. The power of these killing moves seemed too weak. If it wasn't for the backlash from the blood spirit wolf that caused Enchanting to become temporarily stiff, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to use the frenzy 8 trigram palm on his face so easily. Although it couldn't kill Enchanting, it still made him dizzy. Divine Knowledge Whirlpool. Lin Yi did not give up and used the Divine Knowledge Whirlpool again. To deal with an enemy at the Yuanying stage, he still had to rely on his divine knowledge. It was a pity that the black light on Enchanting's body once again cancelled out the Divine Knowledge Whirlpool. Lin Yi did not know whether it was Enchanting's technique or some defensive treasure. Enchanting's body was cold and he was extremely afraid. Lin Yi clearly only had the strength of the peak of the foundation stage, but from start to finish, whether it was fighting or scheming, he restrained Enchanting completely. Now, he easily killed 3 blood spirit wolves and made Enchanting spit out blood. If Enchanting was not afraid, then he was really stupid. After the backlash from the blood spirit wolf was over, Enchanting did not say anything and turned to leave. Although Lin Yi's attack did not cause any fatal damage, Enchanting did not know if Lin Yi had any other tricks up his sleeves. Facing Lin Yi's endless attacks, Enchanting felt that he had no chance of winning. Especially the Dan fire bomb from before, it could definitely threaten Enchanting's life. It was better to leave while he still had the ability to. "Old man En, are you serious? Do you want to die faster? Why are you leaving just like that?" Lin Yi shouted, but he was helpless. Enchanting was the only person that Lin Yi couldn't do anything to after coming to the immemorial small underworld. Due to the difference in levels, Enchanting's martial arts could not kill him, and his divine sense attacks were completely nullified by something on Enchanting's body. This really gave Lin Yi a headache. "Junior. Wait and see. I will definitely come back. Don't forget that you still have the blood soul mark on you." Enchanting jumped onto his 4-winged black eagle and flew into the sky. After he felt safe, he said something that was not very harsh and left the green cloud sect in a hurry. Seeing Enchanting turn into a black dot and fly away again, Lin Yi's eyes slowly turned cold. This sect of warding off evil was really strange. If he could not think of a way, Lin Yi would be quite passive. Not only would the green cloud sect be in trouble during the immemorial grand meeting, when the center appeared, if the sect of warding off evil joined forces with the center, Lin Yi's advantage would be gone, and the entire immemorial small underworld would completely collapse. Perhaps it is time to create more peak nascent soul cultivators. Lin Yi murmured. Currently, it seemed like this was the only way. Enchanting was not afraid of divine sense attacks, but he was afraid of physical attacks. Lin Yi's primordial spirit was restrained by Enchanting, but if it was Bing Wuching, it would not be difficult to beat Enchanting up, right? Fortunately, Lin Yi did not lack nascent soul golden pills. As long as he reached the nascent soul stage, he could use elixirs to create a nascent soul perfected expert. However, it seemed like the only people that Lin Yi could trust now were Bing Wuqing and Xianijia. Yi Qingsheng and Chu Yuntian were still lacking. Another point was that Lin Yi really had to think carefully about how to break through the limit of foundation perfected. If Lin Yi was a primordial spirit of golden core perfected, the 5 elements killing aura would be enough to deal with Yin Chensheng. Grand Uncle, are you alright? Seeing Yin Chensheng retreat, Xianijia quickly came to Lin Yi and asked with concern. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "Of course I'm alright. Didn't you see that old man Yin Chensheng was the one who lost?" Indeed. As expected, Grand Uncle is much more powerful. I was ready to activate the Green Cloud Sword formation, but I didn't expect Grand Uncle to defeat Yin Chensheng in just a few moves. Xianijia said excitedly. The Green Cloud Sword formation was the protective formation of the Green Cloud sect in the North Island. It required all the disciples to participate in it, and it could only be activated when the enemy attacked the sect. Therefore, Xianijia told Lin Yi to hurry back to the sect if he could not win. However, he didn't expect Lin Yi to be so ferocious and defeat Yin Chensheng in just a few moves. Even Xianijia, who was a hardcore supporter of Lin Yi, felt that it would be great if he could not defeat Yin Chensheng in the beginning. Lin Yi smiled bitterly in his heart. He knew the truth best. On the surface, it seemed that he had defeated Yin Chensheng easily, but in fact, Lin Yi had used all his strength. Even so, Yin Chensheng retreated without any serious injuries. Speaking of which, this was quite a failure. Chapter 5505. Let's not talk about this anymore. The Archean Grand Meeting is about to begin. Are you ready? When are you leaving? Lin Yi waved his hand and skipped the topic of Yin Chensheng. Instead, he asked about the Archean Grand Meeting. After the Archean Grand Meeting, Lin Yi might not have the time to return to the Green Cloud sect in the North Island. The Green Cloud sect was a big threat that had to be eliminated as soon as possible. Therefore, before leaving, Lin Yi had to settle the sect's affairs. Xianijia replied respectfully, "Grand Uncle, we were originally scheduled to depart 3 days later. Now that you're back, it's up to you. Because the preliminary preparations are done, there's no problem for us to depart immediately." Xianijia replied respectfully. Lin Yi was quite satisfied with Xianijia's ability to handle affairs. He nodded with a smile and said, "Very well, but we don't have to rush. Let's follow the scheduled itinerary. Let's have a private chat later." "Yes, Grand Uncle." Xianijia did not have any doubts. Anyway, if Lin Yi looked for him alone, it would most likely be a good thing. The remaining possibility was that Lin Yi would ask him to do some secret things, and he would get some benefits in the end. Lin Yi said no more. Accompanied by Xianijia and Hong Zijuan, they returned to the residence that Xianijia had prepared for Lin Yi. Then, Hong Zijuan left tactfully. "Sit down and talk." Lin Yi pointed at the chair casually and asked Xianijia to sit down. Then, he sat on the seat of honor. Xianijia thanked him respectfully and sat down immediately. However, his posture was not casual at all. He only put half of his buttocks on one side and maintained the posture of getting up at any time. "You don't have to be nervous. The Green Cloud sect has developed quite well under your management. It seems that you're a qualified sect leader. I didn't misjudge you." Lin Yi praised Xianijia, which made Xianijia very excited. "Thank you for your compliment, Grand Master. I haven't done enough. I'll work harder to contribute to the development of Green Cloud sect in the future." Xianijia stood up immediately, bowed and cupped his fists to show his determination. Lin Yi was also helpless. With his current status in Green Cloud sect in the North Island, it was not a problem for Xianijia to be so cautious. However, Lin Yi himself was not used to it. "Sit down and talk." Lin Yi raised his hand and pressed it down. Then he felt that there was no need for him to say anything more. He directly took out 6 nascent soul golden elixirs and handed them to Enchanting, saying, "These nascent soul golden elixirs are yours. You should take advantage of these days to improve your strength. When the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting comes, you'll have more strength and continue to improve the ranking of the Blue Cloud sect in the North Island." 6 nascent soul stage golden cores? Enchanting was really shocked. He expected that he might get some benefits from Lin Yi, but he didn't expect it to be such a huge benefit. 6 nascent soul golden elixirs were enough to raise his strength to nascent soul full cycle, and there wouldn't be any problems. After all, the golden elixirs that Lin Yi took out were all of the highest quality. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "You're the leader of Green Cloud sect. You can't be weaker than that old man just now. If everything goes well, you'll be able to take revenge on him at the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting. Thank you for your guidance, Grand Master." Enchanting then woke up from his excitement and quickly bowed to Lin Yi to express his gratitude. As for people like Enchanting, Enchanting was full of confidence now. Just now, he was defeated by Enchanting and failed to protect Lin Yi, which made Enchanting very upset. He didn't expect to have the chance to hold his head high so soon. If they were at the same level, Enchanting was confident that he wouldn't lose to Enchanting. After all, the most powerful skill of the evil warding sect was the evil skill that targeted the primordial spirit, while the skills of the Blue Cloud sect in the North Island had always been upright. They weren't afraid of opponents like the evil warding sect. Moreover, Lin Yi directly took out 6 nascent soul golden cores. When Enchanting reached the full completion of nascent soul, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill Enchanting in a second. You should also pay attention to yourself. Don't be too impatient to improve. Take it step by step, steadily and surely. Lin Yi thought for a while and still reminded Enchanting. After all, Enchanting's talent was far from that of a genius like Bing Wuqing. After breaking through a level, if one continued to take nascent soul golden cores to break through without properly stabilizing it, although one could still level up successfully, it would overdraft one's future potential. Unless Enchanting was as talented as Bing Wuqing or Leng Leng, Lin Yi didn't recommend him to break through continuously. Enchanting said gratefully, "Thank you for your advice, Grand Master. I understand. Don't worry, I'll definitely take nascent soul golden cores to break through after breaking through and stabilizing my strength. I understand the saying, haste makes waste. That's great. For the remaining 3 days, you can hand over the sect's affairs to Hong Zijuan. Go into closed-door cultivation and see what kind of breakthrough you can achieve. When the time comes, let everyone see that the head of the Green Cloud sect in the North Island is an expert who doesn't lose to anyone." Lin Yi encouraged Enchanting for a while and sent him back to closed-door cultivation. After Enchanting left, Lin Yi started to recall the process of the battle with Enchanting. Since he couldn't defeat Enchanting this time, he had to learn from the experience. In this way, he would have a greater chance of winning in the next battle. After thinking about it carefully, Lin Yi couldn't help but slap his thigh. He thought to himself that he was so stupid. He clearly had that trick, but why didn't he think of it before? If he had used that trick, the battle wouldn't have been so difficult. He might have killed Enchanting instantly. He had to try it the next time he met him. Enchanting didn't ask for Lin Yi's help when he was in closed-door cultivation. Now that he had nothing to do, Lin Yi started cultivating again. He wanted to get rid of those malignant tumors of the divine sense as soon as possible, so that they wouldn't explode like a bomb at any time. 3 days passed in a flash. Enchanting and Lin Yi came out of closed-door cultivation at the same time, ready to go to the Primordial Mountains where the Primordial Grand Meeting was held. "Grand Master. The disciples are ready. We can go now." Enchanting came to Lin Yi's door early in the morning and said respectfully, "Let's go then." Lin Yi came out and nodded to Enchanting. He looked at Enchanting and said, "Not bad. You're already at the peak of the middle stage of nascent soul realm. Although it's still a little fast, your aura is very stable. There aren't any side effects of breaking through too quickly. It's all thanks to Grand Master's training. Enchanting bowed even more respectfully. His face was full of gratitude. A year ago, he was just a cultivator in the early stage of Gold Core realm. He brought a group of little guys to the secular world to gain experience. If he hadn't met Lin Yi, he probably wouldn't have made much progress now. Chapter 5506. But now? The peak of the intermediate stage of the original level. In less than a few days, he would reach the peak of the original level and stand at the peak of the archaic underworld. All of this was like a dream. It was hard to believe. However, Enchanting had experienced all of this. All of this was brought to him by Lin Yi. Lin Yi smiled. Without your hard work, you wouldn't be who you are today. Alright, let's go. When we arrive at the archaic mountains, you can continue to break through. Along the way, don't consume the golden elixir of the original level. Focus on stabilizing your strength. Actually, Lin Yi already had a way to deal with Enchanting. He didn't care if Enchanting could defeat Enchanting. However, the central forces of the archaic underworld were getting stronger and stronger. It was necessary for Enchanting to reach the peak of the original level as soon as possible. The disciples who followed Lin Yi and Enchanting to the archaic grand meeting were all ready. When Lin Yi and Enchanting arrived, they got on their flying spiritual beasts and flew into the sky. Hong Zijuan didn't follow them. He stayed to guard the sect. After all, he was once a sect leader. He could rest assured if he stayed at home. The archaic mountains was located at the core of the archaic underworld. The natural treasures provided for more than 80% of the needs of the archaic underworld. To all the sects and clans in the archaic underworld, this was a sacred place for cultivation. However, there wasn't a single sect or clan in the archaic mountains. It wasn't that nobody wanted to occupy this treasury. It was that all the sects and clans in the archaic underworld wouldn't allow anyone to occupy the archaic mountains alone. Otherwise, they would attack together. After all, whoever occupied the archaic mountains was equivalent to grabbing the lifeline of the entire archaic underworld. Therefore, the town of ruins in the archaic mountains was usually uninhabited. It was like a ruin. Only when the archaic grand meeting was held would it be like a bustling city. The archaic grand meeting was initiated by the 4 sects and clans. Grand Master, you know the 4 sects and clans, right? Enchanting followed beside Lin Yi and slowly walked into the ruined town. He began to introduce the primeval convention to Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded his head and said, I've heard a little about it. As the times change, powerful sects will weaken, and weak clans will rise. The current 4 great sects and clans should be the Qianquan sect, the 5 Elements sect, the Heaven Awakening faction, and the Shangguan clan, right? That's right. Right now, the 4 great sects and clans occupy the 4 directions of the primordial mountain range. Although they don't have the intention of monopolizing the primordial mountain range, everyone knows that the closer one is to the primordial mountain range, the more benefits one can obtain. If there are no unforeseen events, it is very difficult for the 4 great sects and clans to change their positions. Enchanting wanted the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island to be one of the top 4 sections. Even if the headquarters of the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island were not moved here, they should at least set up a branch near the primordial mountains. From Enchanting's point of view, this was definitely not an impossible goal. On the contrary, it was the best opportunity for the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, because the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island had Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi did not say it clearly, Enchanting was not stupid. Enchanting might have believed that Lin Yi was the primordial spirit left by a senior of the sect in the primordial era. But as time went by, Enchanting was 100% sure that Lin Yi was not from the small Jianghu of the primordial era. However, the relationship between Lin Yi and the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island must be true. Because of this, Enchanting privately guessed that Lin Yi would not stay in the small Jianghu of the primordial era. This might be the only chance for him to rely on Lin Yi. As long as the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island could be promoted to the top 4, Enchanting would also be at the peak of the nascent soul realm. The disciples of the Blue Cloud sect would also have a complete set of cultivation methods and cultivation resources, and the Blue Cloud sect would really usher in the opportunity to take off. After hearing Enchanting's words, Lin Yi could not help but nod secretly. The so-called change was just like the Thousand Blades sect ere the invincible primordial era was. At that time, the Thousand Blades sect was in the limelight because of the invincible primordial era. However, after the invincible primordial era left, the Thousand Blades sect quickly declined. Now, it did not even have a place in the top 10 families. Thinking of the invincible primordial era, Lin Yi thought of Ling Tianyu. He did not know what would happen after he and the invincible primordial era returned. Would they revive the Thousand Blade sect? Or would they continue to be depressed? I've heard about the 4 major sects and families. Who are the top 10 families? Lin Yi asked casually. He knew that the Blue Cloud sect was one of the top 10 families. There were also Bing Wuqing's Snow Sword sect and Duan Muyu's Leaf Spirit sect. He was not very clear about the others. Enchanting was not surprised that Lin Yi did not know. He immediately replied respectfully, in addition to our Blue Cloud sect in the North Island, among the top 10 families, there are Rising Sky sect, Snow Sword sect, Leaf Spirit sect, Evil Warding sect, Enyan sect, Six Directions sect, Xuanyu sect, Everyday and Everyday sect, and Okuda family. Originally, the strength of the top 10 families and sects was about the same. But recently, there has been a big change in the archaic underworld. Maybe there will be a large-scale change in the archaic grand meeting this time. One of the people who caused such a big change in the archaic underworld was Lin Yi, who was always by Enchanting's side. Enchanting naturally knew about it, but he would not say it directly. Lin Yi nodded. Among the top 10 families, there were some familiar names, but there were also some unfamiliar ones. He did not know whether it was because of the decline of the Heavenly Island, or because these unfamiliar sects had risen after the rise of the archaic underworld. However, the Okuda family caught Lin Yi's attention. They should be of the same lineage as the Okuda family on the Heavenly Island. Thinking that he was the honorary vice-captain of the Okuda Dam warship, Lin Yi felt a sense of familiarity with the Okuda family. As for the Shangguan family, which was one of the 4 big families, Lin Yi had guessed that they might be related to Shanghai Tianhua by blood. After all, the most famous Shangguan on the Heavenly Island was the Shangguan family. Martial uncle, apart from the top 10 families and sects, there are also some powerful families and sects that have a high chance of being ranked in the top 10 families. For example, the Chu family you mentioned, the Xuanji sect which is on the same side as our Blue Cloud sect, the Thousand Blades sect which used to be glorious, the Tyrant Blades sect which is quite powerful now, and so on. Enchanting's explanation was very detailed. After listening to it, Lin Yi had a general idea of the powers of the archaic underworld. While talking, the 2 of them had brought their disciples to the inn in Ruin Town. This was a place that would only be open for business during the archaic grand festival, so the decorations were quite luxurious. In fact, half of the entire Ruin Town belonged to this inn. That's right, the name of this inn was One Inn. Chapter 5507. You could interpret the name of the inn as meaning that once you entered it, you would be a family. You could also interpret it as meaning that there was only one inn in all of Ruin Town. None of that mattered. In any case, as long as you had enough spirit jades, One Inn would definitely be able to provide you with a place to stay. Of course, the 4 big and 10 small sects and clans all had their own independent courtyards prepared in an inn. After all, the main characters of the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting were the 4 big and 10 small sects and clans. This kind of honor was a must. The registration was naturally done by the disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. Enchanting, the new sect leader, and Lin Yi were personally accompanied by the innkeeper of an inn. They came to the independent courtyard with the flag of the Blue Cloud sect. Looking at the size of the courtyard, it could accommodate about 100 people. It was luxurious. Lin Yi took a look. On the left of the Blue Cloud sect was the flag of the Soaring Sky sect, on the right was the flag of the Snow Sword sect, and 1 yard further away was the flag of the Yiling sect. They were all sects that had a good relationship with the Blue Cloud sect. Of course, the Snow Sword sect and the Blue Cloud sect did not have a good relationship. It was mainly after the appearance of Lin Yi and Bing Wuqing reached the nascent soul realm that she went to the Blue Cloud sect to pay a visit to Lin Yi. This made the relationship between the Snow Sword sect and the Blue Cloud sect seem to be much more harmonious. From this arrangement, it could be seen that the inn at least did a good job in gathering information. Otherwise, if they arranged hostile sects together, there might be a melodramatic plot of climbing over the wall and assassinating people at night. It seems that we are quite early. The neighbors on the left and right are not here yet. Lin Yi scanned with his divine sense and found that these courtyards were all empty, so he said to Xianijia with a smile. Xianijia replied with a smile, I was a little impatient. Does Grand Master want to see Bing Wuqing of the Snow Sword sect? Lin Yi laughed and said, I was just saying. The innkeeper said with a smile, Sect leader Xian is just a little early. How is this impatient? I guess the other sects and clans will be here in a few hours. After all, the opening of the Archaeozoic meeting is just around the corner. Those sects and clans that want to enter the 10 small sects have already arrived a few days ago. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's early or not. Without strength, it's useless no matter how early you come. Xianijia chatted with the shopkeeper for a while and let him go back. The shopkeeper was a busy man, it was good that he accompanied him. After all, Jadian was not the only big 4 and 10 young. There were many others who were qualified to be accompanied by him. Lin Yi asked Xianijia to settle the disciples he brought here, and then he brought Xianijia out for a walk. Although half of the entire ruined town was an inn, the other half occupied a considerable amount of land. There were restaurants and tea houses, but most of them were temporary shops. There was naturally no lack of opportunities to trade heavenly materials and earthly treasures during every primeval grand meeting. Therefore, more than 80% of the ruined town was filled with various small shops, or rather, stalls. 70 to 80% of them were opened by individuals, and only 20 to 30% were businesses of sects, clans, or merchant clans. They were used to sell and purchase various heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Lin Yi had deeply experienced the difference between the ancient small underworld and the heaven stage island. Therefore, he wanted to see if there was anything he needed. Unfortunately, after walking around, he did not find anything valuable. Of course, this was from Lin Yi's perspective. Nowadays, there were very few treasures that could catch his eye. Naturally, it was unlikely that they would be taken out to be sold on such an occasion. No matter what, they should be held in an auction to match the value of the treasures. Is there nothing that catches your eye, Martial Uncle? Xianijia saw that Lin Yi was a little dispirited, so he asked with a smile. Lin Yi said faintly, it's not that there is nothing good, it's just that they are useless. It seems that it's not easy for real treasures to appear in the Archaeozoic meeting. In fact, the Archaeozoic meeting hasn't really started yet. Of course, Martial Uncle won't be interested in those that come out now. When the Archaeozoic meeting officially starts, I think there will be more good things. Moreover, at that time, the 4 big and 10 small sects and clans, including those who are qualified to challenge the 10 small sects and clans, will organize a barter exchange in private. If Martial Uncle is interested, you can go and have a look at it at that time. Although Xianijia's strength was not high, he knew a lot about the Archaeozoic meeting. At this time, his words were clear and logical. Lin Yi's eyes lit up and said, this is good news. I hope it won't disappoint me. I'm afraid that Martial Uncle is too picky and doesn't like the treasures of the various sects and clans. Xianijia said with a smile. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, he pointed at the restaurant by the road and said, Martial Uncle, why don't we have dinner here? When Lin Yi was about to nod in agreement, his expression suddenly changed slightly. He said with a smile, forget it, I don't feel like eating. You can go back first. Cultivate and make a breakthrough today, then we will have a higher chance in the Archaeozoic meeting. Enchanting naturally would not object to what Lin Yi said. On the way to the Archaeozoic mountains, he had taken the opportunity to stabilize his realm. It was true that he could take another golden elixir of nascent soul to make a breakthrough to the late stage of nascent soul. Martial uncle, are you going to walk alone? Enchanting asked. After getting an affirmative answer from Lin Yi, he bowed respectfully and left. He returned to the Jadian sect to prepare for the breakthrough. After Enchanting left, Lin Yi walked slowly with his hands behind his back. He gradually walked into a remote alley on the side. The sky was getting dark, and there was not a single person in the alley. When Lin Yi walked to the middle of the alley, a person suddenly fell from the sky in front of him and stopped in front of Lin Yi. Behind him, a person followed in the alley where Lin Yi came in and quickly approached Lin Yi. Young man, I told you that you can't escape. How about it? You didn't expect to see me again so soon, did you? The person in front of Lin Yi was Enchanting, who came to the Jadian sect to pick a fight. Seeing that Lin Yi was surrounded, he suddenly laughed proudly. The person behind Lin Yi was the head of Bishia's sect, Zhao Dan. His strength was also at the peak of the early stage of nascent soul. This time, Bishia's sect's team to participate in the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting were led by these two nascent soul masters. Because of the blood soul mark on Lin Yi, Enchanting knew Lin Yi's whereabouts like the back of his hand. Lin Yi chuckled and said calmly, Yo, isn't this the old man En who said that he wanted to die a quick death last time, but in the end, he escaped even faster? What's wrong? This time, you've decided to die a quick death? Don't run away halfway again. Lin Yi naturally noticed that these two people were following him. Just now, his divine sense had already seen Enchanting and Zhao Dan sneaking up behind him, so Lin Yi sent Enchanting back first. Chapter 5508. If Lin Yi wasn't able to do anything to Enchanting last time at the Blue Cloud sect, then this time, Lin Yi was completely confident. That was why he decided to beat them at their own game, walking to this remote place and baiting them out. Enchanting smiled sinisterly. Junior, you are about to die, and you still want to win with words. Last time, I was careless. Today, I have evil warding sect's leader, Zhao Xiaodan, to work with me. I don't believe you can play any tricks. Actually, after leaving last time, Enchanting realized that other than that weird pill fire bomb, Lin Yi's other attacks were very strong, but they did very little damage to him. If he was injured, he might have already killed Lin Yi. But considering that the archaic meeting was about to start, Enchanting suppressed the thought of going back to find Lin Yi. He wanted to find Zhao Xiaodan to deal with Lin Yi together. From this point, Enchanting subconsciously saw Lin Yi as a very threatening opponent. Although he thought Lin Yi could only scare people, he didn't want to deal with Lin Yi alone. Initially, Zhao Xiaodong wasn't very willing. After all, the immemorial meeting was very important to the evil warding sect. Although Enjiping was a disciple of the evil warding sect, Zhao Xiaodong wasn't very interested in avenging Enjiping. At least, before the immemorial meeting ended, he wasn't interested at all. However, Enchanting was the supreme elder of the evil warding sect and he was much stronger than Zhao Xiaodong. Since Enchanting had asked, Zhao Xiaodong had no choice but to help. But seeing that Lin Yi was only at Foundation Establishment realm, Zhao Xiaodan heaved a sigh of relief. With this kind of strength, he was really just here to go through the motions. He was only at the peak of Foundation Establishment, so why would Enchanting need help? Zhao Dan completely ignored this. Lin Yi shrugged. Tricks? I never play tricks. How do you want to die, old man En? Hurry up, I still need to go back for dinner after I'm done admiring. Enchanting saw that Lin Yi had no intention of condensing a pill fire bomb, and the fear in his heart lessened. In his view, Lin Yi only had one move that could threaten him. Junior, since you want to die, this old man will fulfill your wish. It's rare for your primordial spirit body to be so solid. This old man will definitely have a good taste and not waste your good flesh. After Enchanting finished speaking, he shook his right sleeve and a huge suction force pulled Lin Yi over. Lin Yi didn't resist at all. He allowed Enchanting to pull his primordial spirit as he charged at Enchanting like a meteor. Enchanting, on the other hand, was on full alert. After all, Lin Yi had used this move against Enchanting in the Blue Cloud sect. When Enchanting used this move, he felt a lot of pressure. But this time, Lin Yi did not retaliate. No matter how cautious Enchanting was, it was all useless. Lin Yi was pulled over by Enchanting and then swallowed by the dumbfounded Enchanting. Evil warding sect's unique secret technique, God swallowing. Of course, this did not mean a deity, but a primordial spirit. Because of this move, evil warding sect's disciples could quickly level up as long as they had enough primordial spirits. Zhao Danyan saw Enchanting swallow Lin Yi in one gulp, and his face turned bitter. You called me over to help, after all. Even though it was just a show, shouldn't you at least get a bite? Just like that? Was it appropriate? Was it appropriate? Alright, you're the Supreme Elder. Whether it was appropriate or not, it didn't matter. Supreme Elder, such a weak primordial spirit, do you really need to deal with it? You even asked me to do it. Isn't this making a big deal out of nothing? Zhao Xiaodan was unhappy, so he grumbled a little. However, he didn't dare offend Enchanting too much. After all, Enchanting was a great elder, and his strength wasn't something Zhao Xiaodan could compare to. Enchanting was also stunned and said, it wasn't like this last time. This junior was clearly very strong, so why was he swallowed by this old man just like that? To be honest, Enchanting had never thought that he would be able to swallow Lin Yi in one go. Before he attacked, he had simulated dozens of possible reactions from Lin Yi in his mind, and he had thought of a way to deal with them. The only thing he hadn't expected was for Lin Yi to not resist at all, and for him to swallow him directly. Also, Enchanting's swallowing of Lin Yi was completely subconscious. He was very familiar with this sequence of moves. Usually, those primordial spirits would be pulled over and swallowed without any resistance. When Lin Yi did not resist, he fell into Enchanting's eating rhythm. Zhao Xiaodan said sourly, fine, fine. Supreme Elder swallowed such a good primordial spirit this time. You should have the confidence to break through. Our evil warding sect will be stronger. Let's go. Supreme Elder should digest this when we go back. Zhao Xiaodan turned and was about to go back, but Enchanting's face suddenly changed. No. This junior is strange. Strange? How is it strange? Zhao Xiaodan looked strangely at Enchanting. He thought to himself, don't act like you've taken advantage of me. I didn't ask you for anything. Do you have to act like this? But Zhao Xiaodan immediately realized that something was wrong. Enchanting's face was twisted, and his body was twitching on the ground. The situation was very bad. In Enchanting's body, Enchanting's primordial spirit was looking at Lin Yi in shock. He stammered, you are not Foundation Establishment Peak. A mocking smile hung on Lin Yi's lips. Did I tell you that I'm at the peak of Foundation Establishment? Enchanting thought about it and agreed. Lin Yi never said he was Foundation Establishment Peak. It was just that his primordial spirit showed his strength to be Foundation Establishment Peak. But which Foundation Establishment Peak could fight against a peak nascent soul late-stage cultivator like Enchanting and still have the upper hand? You fucking tricked me. Enchanting's face was full of grief and indignation. It was his own fault. He just couldn't understand such an obvious thing. Lin Yi shrugged innocently. I'm not Foundation Establishment Peak. It's just what you think. How am I tricking you? Speaking of which, can you be serious and die faster now? Enchanting tried to digest Lin Yi's primordial spirit, but he couldn't move it at all. His power was like a light breeze, but Lin Yi's primordial spirit was like a towering mountain. This light breeze couldn't even move a pebble on the mountain. Chapter 5509. You're not at Foundation Establishment Great Completion. What are you? Enchanting's heart was dead. He knew that he could not escape. In this situation, it was clear that Lin Yi's spirit was above his. This was the most fatal point of the evil warding sect. If he swallowed a spirit stronger than him, then there was only one result, death. This time, he really did not want to die quickly. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You still don't understand? I'm a profound ascension spirit. Xian Sheng. I, Enchanting, have no regrets in dying. Enchanting laughed bitterly. Then his body completely exploded. He could not be more dead. The communication between primordial spirits only lasted for a moment. Therefore, when Enchanting exploded and died, Zhao Yuanqing turned around and saw Enchanting twitching on the ground. When he was about to go over to check, he saw that Enchanting was completely dead. The splattered flesh and blood were completely vaporized in the air. There was no trace left. Lin Yi's spirit appeared where Enchanting's body disappeared. He held a black bracelet in his hand. There was also a misty spirit in front of him. It was Enchanting's spirit. The moment Enchanting's body exploded, everything on him was destroyed. Only this black bracelet was not damaged. It was clearly a rare treasure. Lin Yi immediately remembered that his spirit sense attack was ineffective against Enchanting. It seemed like it was due to this black bracelet. As for Enchanting's primordial spirit, it was supposed to be destroyed as well. Lin Yi took it down, but he didn't know how to deal with it. Speaking of devouring, Lin Yi was not interested. After all, Lin Yi had not digested the spirit of the heaven-devouring giant crocodile. There were still Yu Taicong and Chu Hengding imprisoned in the jade space. Lin Yi was not interested in this method of leveling up. Therefore, Lin Yi was too lazy to deal with this spirit. He focused on the black bracelet. However, what Lin Yi did not expect was that after Zhao Sheng saw Enchanting's spirit, he immediately waved his sleeve and swallowed Enchanting's spirit. Lin Yi was shocked. Of course, he could have stopped it, but he did not. First, Lin Yi did not know how to deal with Enchanting's spirit. Second, Lin Yi wanted to see what Zhao Sheng wanted to do. If Zhao Tong wanted to save Enchanting and escape, Lin Yi, of course, wouldn't let him have his way. But Zhao Tong swallowed Enchanting's soul in one mouth. This was unbelievable. Hey, did you not see what happened to Enchanting? He dared to swallow his spirit? Lin Yi asked strangely. Enchanting's spirit was at the peak of the late stage of nascent soul. It was much stronger than Zhao Sheng's. Enchanting had just exploded because he swallowed a spirit stronger than him. Now, Zhao Sheng was doing this. Was he looking to die? Moreover, no matter what, Enchanting was from the same sect as Zhao Dan. Could he really do it? After Zhao Quan swallowed Enchanting's soul, he knelt down with a thud. Lin Yi was shocked. Was he going to explode just like that? Qianbei. Qianbei was forced by Grand Elder, Enchanting, that old thief, to block Qianbei. Actually, Qianbei has been unhappy with this old thief for a long time. Day and night, I thought about how to eat this old thief. Today, I finally got the chance. That's why I couldn't help but swallow this old thief's spirit. I definitely did not want to offend Qianbei. After kneeling down, Zhao Sheng was full of tears and snot. He spoke as if he was very pitiful. He did not look like someone who had just swallowed the spirit of a peak late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Lin Yi looked strangely at Zhao Sheng. After a while, he said, "You swallowed Enchanting. Is nothing wrong?" Zhao Sheng was startled and immediately said respectfully, "Qianbei might not know." Under normal circumstances, if the primordial spirit was stronger than the body, devouring it would cause the body to explode. However, Enchanting's primordial spirit had been destroyed by Senior and was at its weakest. At this time, no matter how strong the primordial spirit was, it was just a great supplement. It would not have any adverse effects. Plus, he and I are from the same sect. Even if he is stronger than me under normal circumstances, I can still swallow him. So that's how it is. So you purposely took this chance to snatch the spirit from me? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and said to Zhao Sheng with a smile that was not a smile. Zhao Sheng's back immediately broke out in cold sweat. He cursed himself for being too talkative. What the hell was he talking about? He had seen how terrifying Lin Yi was. To be able to make Enchanting explode, it had to be at least a peak nascent soul cultivator. Moreover, Enchanting exploded so easily and Lin Yi was not injured at all. Even a peak nascent soul cultivator would not be able to block it. Then, it could only be the legendary Xian Sheng. What would happen if you offended a profound ascending stage spirit? Zhao Xing thought about it and felt that he should just slit his own throat. He immediately knelt on the ground and said with a trembling voice, "Qianbei, please spare me. Qianbei, please spare me. Qianbei really did not mean to steal your spoils of war. It is just that I have a deep grudge against Enchanting that I subconsciously did such a stupid thing. Qianbei, please spare me this time." While begging for mercy, Zhao Sheng was still cursing Enchanting in his heart. It was fine if he wanted to die, but he had to drag me into it. Why did he have to offend a profound ascending stage spirit? If he wanted to die, he could have just hung himself. Why did he have to go through so much trouble? Originally, Zhao Sheng was full of confidence and wanted to perform well at the immemorial gathering. After all, 2 nascent soul cultivators were quite powerful. But now, it was all over. He didn't even know if he could keep his life. It would already be good if the evil warding sect didn't drop out of the top 10. Lin Yi rubbed his chin and said playfully, "You stole my spoils of war. You can't really ask me to spare you just because you begged for mercy, right? I haven't even paid you back for intercepting me." Zhao Yuantong kowtowed a few more times before putting on a fawning smile and said, "Of course, I can't let Senior suffer any losses. How about this, as an apology to Senior, I will give you the treasures that we prepared for the evil warding sect. Although it is not enough to compensate for your loss, please forgive me on account of my sincerity." He didn't wait for Lin Yi's response and quickly took out a brocade box, raising it above his head with a pained look on his face. Chapter 55:10. Lin Yi took it and scanned it with his divine sense. He didn't find any mechanism. He opened the brocade box and found a dark blue inner dan of a sea beast. Although it was only the size of an egg, it was completely incomparable to the 2 fist-sized inner dan of the sea crab, but the spiritual fluctuations contained in it made Lin Yi's face change slightly. A sea beast inner dan of the mysterious ascending stage? And it's a sea beast that is at least at the peak of the middle stage of mysterious ascending stage? To be honest, Lin Yi was really shocked this time. Wasn't there no mysterious ascending stage in the small Jianghu? Although Tai Shi was at the mysterious ascending stage before, it was only a Yuanshen. The original Tai Shi did not reach the height of the mysterious ascending stage at that time. Zhao Dan's heart shook, thinking that this man was really the legendary mysterious ascending stage. Otherwise, how could he accurately say the level of this inner dan of the sea beast? How did you get a sea beast inner dan of the mysterious ascending stage? Don't tell me you have the ability to hunt sea beasts of the mysterious ascending stage. Lin Yi was really curious now. Not to mention whether there was a mysterious ascending stage existence in this small Jianghu. Just the fact that Zhao Dan got such a sea beast inner dan was enough to arouse Lin Yi's interest. Zhao Dan didn't dare to hide anything, and immediately said with a smile, replying to Senior, "This sea beast Niden was found by my sect not long ago in a cave left by a predecessor thousands of years ago. Although there are no more mysterious ascension stage cultivators in the ancient small world, there should have been some thousands of years ago. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the legend of mysterious ascension. This sea beast is probably the same, its strength was much stronger than it is now." Lin Yi nodded, this explanation made sense. Since it was a cave from thousands of years ago, it was not surprising that there was such a good thing. But this inner Dan, after thousands of years, it still maintained such a pure spiritual fluctuation. He didn't know if the inner Dan of the sea beast was like this. Its shelf life was super long. Since it is the senior's cave, there should be more than one inner Dan, right? Are there any other treasures? Lin Yi asked casually. He wasn't trying to extort anything, but he was just curious. He didn't think that Zhao Dan would tell him the truth. Anyway, there was no way he'd give Lin Yi all the good stuff he had. But to Lin Yi's surprise, Zhao Dan pointed to the black bracelet in Lin Yi's hand and said, "The bracelet in the senior's hand was also found in the cave, except for these two things. There is nothing else." Lin Yi couldn't help but chuckle. It seemed like this guy saw that the bracelet was in Lin Yi's hands, and there was no way he could get it back. As for whether or not there was anything else, it wasn't up to him to decide, unless Lin Yi used a soul-searching technique on him. What treasure is this bracelet? How do I use it? To be honest, Lin Yi was more interested in this bracelet than the inner Dan of the mystic ascending stage sea beast. After all, Lin Yi had guessed that this was the main method that Enchanting could use to resist Lin Yi's divine sense attack. Zhao Dan said honestly, "This bracelet is called the Divine Controlling Bracelet. As long as a trace of divine sense is injected, it can automatically protect the owner of the divine sense. Any divine sense attack that does not exceed the user by one major realm can be resisted, but it can only resist 5 attacks at once. After 5 times, the energy in the bracelet will be exhausted, and it will take a day to recover. Of course, if you receive a divine sense attack that exceeds one major realm, the defense of this bracelet will be ineffective." Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised. This was really a good treasure. No wonder Enchanting could resist the divine sense attack, including the soul-reaping hand. It was because Lin Yi's divine sense level had not reached the requirement of exceeding one major realm. And Enchanting retreated from the Green Cloud sect probably because the usage of the divine controlling bracelet was already at its limit. Thinking about this, Lin Yi thought that if he had used a combo on him that day, this old man would probably have died already. With the strength of Lin Yi's divine sense, with this bracelet, he could directly ignore the divine sense attacks of the mountain opening stage as long as they were not above the peak of the mountain opening stage. "Alright, seeing that you have some sincerity, I will let this matter go. You can leave." Lin Yi obtained 2 treasures and was in a good mood, so he waved his hand to let Zhao Dan leave. Zhao Dan was overjoyed, but he was worried that Lin Yi would not let him go. After all, if Lin Yi killed him, everything that Zhao Dan had would belong to Lin Yi. "Thank you for not killing me, Senior. In the future, the evil warding sect will follow Senior's lead. If Senior has any orders, I will not hesitate to go through fire and water." Zhao Dan hurriedly stood up. As he expressed his loyalty, he bowed and retreated. By the time he finished speaking, he was already at the entrance of the alley. Immediately, he fled the place like a stray dog. Lin Yi let Zhao Dan go and put on the divine controlling bracelet happily. He put away the profound ascending stage sea beast core and walked out of the alley with his hands behind his back. Originally, Lin Yi thought that Enchanting could resist the soul-reaping hand and the divine sense whirlpool because of some evil warding sect technique. If that was the case, then the evil warding sect would be his nemesis in the immemorial Jianghu. Luckily, Lin Yi knew that Enchanting completely relied on the divine controlling bracelet to do all this, so Lin Yi naturally relaxed. Since the evil warding sect was no longer a threat to him, he could just let Zhao Xiaodan go. If he had the time in the future, he could go look for Zhao Xiaodan and ask him to bring him to the cave to see if there was anything else he could find. Leisurely strolling back to an inn, Lin Yi found Ling Tianyu in his divine sense. What made Lin Yi feel strange was that Ling Tianyu was drinking alone in the hall of the inn. This was completely different from the usual feeling that Ling Tianyu gave Lin Yi. Seeing Ling Tianyu drinking one cup after another, Lin Yi guessed that this guy was stimulated by something. In any case, Ling Tianyu was a person that Lin Yi had a good impression of. Since Ling Tianyu was in trouble, Lin Yi thought that he should go and talk to him. Before Lin Yi went in, Wei Yidao suddenly came down from the second floor and went straight to Ling Tianyou's table. He laughed and said, "Yo, if it isn't the peerless genius of the Thousand Blades sect, young Master Ling. Why are you drinking alone?" Ling Tianyou didn't raise his head and filled the cup in his hand. He just said indifferently, "Go away." Wei Yidao's complexion changed, and he instantly put away his smile. He grabbed Ling Tianyou's hair and forcefully pulled back, making Ling Tianyou's face to the ceiling. Then, he slapped Ling Tianyou's face again and again. Chapter 55:11. Who are you pretending to be? You actually have the nerve to participate in the archaic grand meeting with your trashy appearance? Do you really think that you are a peerless genius that only appears once in 10,000 years? Do you really think that your trash Thousand Blades sect can obtain a place in the top 10? Ha ha ha, to be honest, you actually came here to make a fool of yourself, right? Wei Yidao didn't care about the gazes of the people around him and wantonly insulted Ling Tianyou. Lin Yi's eyes turned cold, and he was about to make a move. However, the waiter of the inn had already appeared and said to Wei Yidao with a smile, "Sir, this inn prohibits private fights and trouble. If you have any grievances, please go out and settle them yourself." Since someone from the inn had come out, Lin Yi was in no hurry to make a move. He simply entered the door and stood in a corner, coldly watching the situation unfold. Normally, with the return of primordial invincible nascent soul, even if the Thousand Blades sect wasn't a top-notch sect, it definitely wasn't a sect that trash like the Hegemon Saber School would dare to provoke. However, looking at Wei Yidao's appearance, it seemed that he didn't care about primordial invincible at all. Wei Yidao loosened his grip on Ling Tianyou's hair and shrugged his shoulders at the inn's waiter. "No, I was just playing with him. How could there be a private fight? Don't worry, I know the rules of an inn. That's for the best." The waiter still maintained his smile. He glanced at the unresponsive Ling Tianyou and continued in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. "However, even if it was just a joke, please don't affect others." "All right, I understand." Wei Yidao waved his hand and sent the waiter away. Although this inn had a powerful background and he didn't dare to offend them too much, Wei Yidao definitely didn't think that he should be polite to a waiter. Ling Tianyou didn't seem to be dissatisfied with what happened earlier. After the waiter left, he wanted to grab a cup of wine again. Wei Yidao casually picked up the wine pot, pinched Ling Tianyou's chin, and poured it down his throat. Come. Long time no see. Let me toast you today. If you don't finish it, it'll be too disrespectful." Wei Yidao said loudly as he gulped down the wine. His gaze inadvertently swept over the waiter who had just left. The waiter's footsteps paused, but in the end, he did not have the intention to return. After all, Wei Yidao had said to offer a toast. Even if it was a little excessive, as long as they did not fight, after the previous warning, it would not be appropriate for the inn to issue another warning, unless the two of them really fought. However, looking at Ling Tianyou's submissive attitude, it was unlikely that he would make a move. Therefore, the shop assistant could only ignore Wei Yidao's behavior for the time being. After testing the bottom line of the inn's tolerance, Wei Yidao knew what to do. As he continued to pour wine into Ling Tianyou's mouth, he didn't forget to ridicule him. "What a good-for-nothing. If I were you, I would definitely hide in your mother's pants and not come out, so as not to embarrass myself. Do you really think that you can rise again just because you found an old fart? You're simply indulging in the wildest fantasies. You even went to the Chinkuan sect. Ha ha ha, I've discovered that your Thousand Blades sect's laughable consummate skill is truly invincible." Just as they were happily talking, Ling Tianyou suddenly spat out a mouthful of wine, drenching Wei Yidao's head and face. "Shut up." It was unknown which of Wei Yidao's words had poked Ling Tianyou's sore spot, but Ling Tianyou, who had been silent all this time, finally exploded. Not only did he spit out wine all over Wei Yidao's face, he also grabbed Wei Yidao's wrist that was holding the wine pot and smashed it towards Wei Yidao's head. However, in terms of strength, Wei Yidao, the young master of the Tyrant's Blade sect, was completely superior to Ling Tianyu, the young master of the Thousand Blades sect. Caught off guard, Wei Yidao had already been spat out wine all over his face. How could he allow Ling Tianyu to smash his own head with his own hand? Then Wei Yidao really didn't need to mingle around in the future. The two's hands were only in a deadlock for a moment before Wei Yidao began to gain the upper hand. However, Ling Tianyu wasn't completely defenseless and could still hold on for a while. At the side, Lin Yi was no longer in a hurry to make a move. If Ling Tianyu didn't have the guts to fight back, Lin Yi would at most help him out once, and it would be the same in the future. However, since Ling Tianyu still had the guts to fight back, Lin Yi felt that it was better for him to wait and see. "I'll fight you to the death." Ling Tianyu's face was red. Since he was at a disadvantage in terms of strength, he directly controlled dozens of silver needles to fly out, preparing to use them to deal with Wei Yidao. Wei Yidao's eyes revealed an ominous glint, and he said with a ferocious expression, "You dare to use weapons? Then wait for this young master to cut you into 8 pieces. You too, this inn forbids private fights." The shop assistant from before came back again. The two of them were about to use their knives. It couldn't be considered a joke, right? Wei Yidao looked a little afraid, but Ling Tianyu turned a deaf ear to him. It was unknown whether it was because he had drunk too much or because he was too agitated, but the silver needles didn't stop stabbing at Wei Yidao from all directions. At most, Ling Tianyu could control thousands of silver needles. These dozens of silver needles were really nothing. Seeing that Wei Yidao was about to suffer a loss, a wave of qi directly swept over from the second floor, cutting off the connection between these silver needles and Ling Tianyu. "Waiter, if there are any losses, put it all on our Tyrant's Blade sect." A figure directly flew down from the second floor, and at the same time, gave an order to the waiter who was trying to stop Wei Yidao and Ling Tianyu. The qi just now was released by this person. When it landed, the momentum of the peak of the intermediate gold core realm was completely revealed. However, the waiter of an inn didn't buy it at all. Instead, he put away his smile and said coldly, "A gold core realm cultivator of the Tyrant's Blade sect is fighting in our inn. Do you want to be disqualified from participating in the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting?" The practitioner at the peak of the intermediate gold core realm, who had already clawed at Ling Tianyu's throat, suddenly stopped moving. This time, the Tyrant's Blade sect came to compete for the top 10 small sects and families. If they were disqualified because of such a small matter, they would definitely be abandoned by the sect. Although a waiter couldn't represent the inn, and might not have the ability to disqualify the Tyrant's Blade sect, it was better to be safe than sorry. The name of the Tyrant's Blade sect was really not very useful for an inn. Just when this man was in an awkward dilemma, Lin Yi appeared beside Ling Tianyu like a ghost and directly slapped Wei Yidao away. After knocking over several empty tables, he fell to the ground and rolled a few times before stopping. As for the practitioner at the peak of the intermediate gold core realm, Lin Yi didn't show any mercy. He didn't even bother to take back the slap he used to slap Wei Yidao away. With a flash of red light on his palm, the frenzied fire 8 trigrams palm slapped on his face. Chapter 55:12. This unlucky guy was much more miserable than Wei Yidao. How could the raging fire 8 trigrams palm be so easy to bear? He screamed and flew back to the second floor while emitting black smoke. Judging from the sound, it seemed that flipping over tables was inevitable. A waiter of an inn gaped at Lin Yi. His warning to the Tyrant Saber sect just now was not a joke. This guy in front of him was too arrogant. He didn't put an inn in his eyes at all. Lin Yi glanced at the waiter indifferently and said expressionlessly, "I'm Lin Yi." The waiter was shocked and immediately put on a smile. "Senior Lin from the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. These are all trivial matters. Don't take it to heart. I still have to thank Senior Lin for teaching those two ignorant things a lesson." The onlookers on the side immediately looked at him. Didn't they say that private fights would cause them to be disqualified? Why was it completely different when it came to the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island? Could it be that the 10 small sects and families already had such privileges? In fact, the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island did not have such privileges, but the intelligence system behind the inn was quite powerful. The waiter naturally knew that Lin Yi was in the top 3 on the list of people that all the sects paid attention to and should not provoke. The waiter naturally knew that the strength of Lin Yi could not be accurately determined for the time being, but the fact that Lin Yi refined 2 supreme-grade gold elixirs of nascent soul in 4 hours in the Chu family was enough for the inn to regard Lin Yi as the most important guest. In that case, I'll have to trouble you. Lin Yi did not say much. Anyway, he was not the one who stirred up trouble. And to be honest, in the small Jianghu of the ancient times, Lin Yi really had nothing to fear. The waiter smiled and left, and then quickly cleaned up the mess. As for Wei Yidao, after seeing Lin Yi's strength, he had already left dejectedly. Lin Yi just taught him a lesson and did not kill him. Otherwise, how could Wei Yidao get up so easily? Ling Tianyu, what happened to you? Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with a nobody like Wei Yidao. He turned around and asked Ling Tianyu to sit back down. Ling Tianyu let out a long sigh, cupped his fists, and said, "This time, it is all thanks to Brother Lin's help, thank you very much." Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "Since we are friends, there is no need to be so polite. Tell me what happened to you. If you have any difficulties, maybe I can help you think of a way." Ling Tianyu hesitated for a moment. He seemed to feel that Lin Yi was not an outsider. Besides, this matter was not a secret, and he could easily find out about it by asking around. To tell you the truth, after finding the invincible patriarch, he directly went to Qinkuan's sect to find trouble. No matter how I tried to persuade him, Qinkuan's sect's strength and foundation are no longer the same as before. Patriarch went there alone, but he was completely no match for them. Speaking of this matter, Ling Tianyu was quite depressed. He originally thought that with immemorial invincible, a great perfection nascent soul realm expert, the Thousand Blades sect would have no problem returning to the 10 small sects. Who knew that immemorial invincible was so stupid? Well, it was a bit disrespectful to say that the patriarch was stupid. In any case, an expert who had just returned was completely useless. Lin Yi was also speechless. If he had to say, immemorial invincible was an idiot. He clearly knew that Qinkuan's sect was very powerful now, but he still thought that it was the era when immemorial invincible dominated the small Jianghu of the ancient times. Immemorial invincible was killed by Qinkuan's sect? Lin Yi really sympathized with Ling Tianyu. This guy wanted to revitalize the Thousand Blades sect. He finally had a hope, but it was destroyed just like that. Ling Tianyu shook his head and said, "No," but he was crippled by Qinkuan's sect and sent back. The reason why he didn't kill the patriarch is to intimidate the world and establish the prestige of Qinkuan's sect. Killing the chicken to warn the monkeys. Your patriarch is the chicken, and all those who want to challenge Qinkuan's sect are the monkeys. Lin Yi nodded thoughtfully. Since immemorial invincible was crippled, it was natural that Wei Yidao's Hegemon's Saber School dared to provoke them. Hegemon's Saber School was originally the lackey of Qinkuan's sect. It would be strange if they didn't take the opportunity to trample on them. Moreover, Wei Yidao and Ling Tianyu didn't get along with each other. Hegemon's Saber School and Thousand Blades sect were competitors who wanted to enter the 10 small sects. If immemorial invincible was fine, Wei Yidao probably wouldn't dare to fart in front of Ling Tianyu. Lin Yi, it turns out that you are eating with Ling Tianyu here. Suddenly, a beautiful female voice sounded in surprise. Lin Yi didn't need to look to know that it was Duanmuyu. "Xiaoyu, come and sit with us." Lin Yi turned around and asked the waiter to bring 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks. Then he said, "Why are you here alone? Didn't Yi Qingsheng and your master come?" Duanmuyu blushed a little. She greeted Ling Tianyu first and then answered, "Yes, I want to go out alone, so I didn't go with them." In fact, Duanmuyu couldn't wait to find Lin Yi when she saw that the people of Blue Cloud's sect of the North Island had arrived. Yi Qingsheng would raise both hands and feet in favor of this kind of thing, so he let Duanmuyu come out alone. Unfortunately, Lin Yi hadn't gone back yet. After Duanmuyu didn't find him, she thought that if she waited for Lin Yi at the entrance of the inn, she could see him earlier, so she appeared here alone. The remote ancient grand meeting hasn't started yet, and there's nothing to stroll around in the ruined town. Let's eat and chat together. Anyway, Ling Tianyu is no stranger to you. Lin Yi took the bowls and chopsticks from the waiter and said while setting them for Duanmuyu. Duanmuyu thought in her heart, what a blockhead. If there's nothing to stroll around, why don't you accompany me to stroll around? Even if it's a meal, it's better for two than for three, isn't it? It was just that she couldn't say out her childish thoughts. She could only nod with a smile and order a few more dishes. With the company of Lin Yi and Duanmuyu, Ling Tianyu's mood also became cheerful. He was originally a strong-willed person. Previously, he was just a little bit stubborn. Now that he was chatting with Lin Yi, he gradually let it go. While the three of them were talking, Wei Yidao came back. Beside him was a young man who seemed to be in his early 20s. Of course, it was impossible to tell the age of a cultivator. Although Lin Yi wasn't very sure, he could roughly see that this young man should have reached the nascent soul realm. Wei Yidao whispered a few words in the young man's ear and pointed at Lin Yi and the other two. It seemed that he had found a helper to take revenge. It was not easy for Wei Yidao to invite a master of the nascent soul realm. Chapter 55:13. Lin Yi didn't care and continued to chat and eat with Ling Tianyu and Duanmuyu. He was just a nascent soul cultivator. Although he didn't know his specific level, he was definitely not as powerful as Enchanting. Even if he had the god-controlling bracelet, he wouldn't be able to block Lin Yi's divine sense attack. The young man was originally looking at Ling Tianyu, but after seeing Duanmuyu, he immediately changed his target. He pushed away Wei Yidao, who was still talking in his ear, and walked over in what he thought was the most handsome manner. This beauty, it's really fate that brought us together. This young master said that something good seemed to have happened today. It turns out that I met the woman of my dreams. From this guy's expression, it could be inferred that his so-called dream was at most a wet dream. Get lost. Lin Yi's eyes turned cold, and he said coldly. In all honesty, Lin Yi really didn't like trouble, and rarely took the initiative to look for trouble. But if someone really came to look for trouble, Lin Yi didn't mind letting the other party know that trouble, in fact, looked like Lin Yi. The young man didn't pay attention to Lin Yi's warning at all. He just glanced at Lin Yi disdainfully, and said to Duanmuyu with a smile, "Beauty, what's the use of following these trash? Which sect or family do you belong to? Come, have a good chat with this young master. Let's drink a cup of wine first, and then talk at night under the candlelight. As long as this young master is satisfied, at least your family or sect will be able to sit firmly in the top 10 small sects and families." Duanmuyu moved towards Lin Yi with a look of disgust, wanting to stay away from this young man. At the same time, she said angrily, "Don't worry, I'm not interested in getting to know you. Also, can't you understand human language? I told you to get lost." "Oh, you're a little hot pepper. This young master likes little hot peppers like you. When the time comes, it will be even more interesting." The thickness of this fellow's skin was not inferior to his own strength. Moreover, as he spoke, he actually reached out to grab Duanmuyu's wrist. Clearly, he was going to use force. Even Ling Tianyu couldn't tolerate such a complete disregard for Lin Yi and Ling Tianyu, let alone Lin Yi. Although Duanmuyu had not made his relationship with Lin Yi completely clear, it was basically the same. Flirting with Duanmuyu in front of Lin Yi? Lin Yi really didn't know how many lives this guy had. Getting lost was already Lin Yi's final warning. Since this guy was courting death, and it was clear that he was sent by Wei Yidao, Lin Yi certainly wouldn't be polite anymore. 3 spiritual awareness whirlpools appeared out of thin air, spinning rapidly and tearing the soul of this young man. Moreover, Lin Yi also added some changes to it. After obtaining the spiritual awareness pill fire, Lin Yi had been trying to transform his spiritual awareness into pill fire at any time. The spiritual awareness whirlpool was completely composed of spiritual awareness, so there was no problem in transforming it into pill fire in theory. On the way here, Lin Yi had already put this idea into practice, and this time, Lin Yi, who was really angry, tried out this new spiritual sense elixir fire whirlpool for the first time. The whirlpool pulled and shook the young man's soul, and then the pill fire spread to the whole soul. It should be known that the soul was most afraid of things like pill fire. Usually, with the physical defense, the pill fire couldn't directly attack the soul. However, after Lin Yi improved the spiritual awareness pill fire whirlpool, he managed to do this kind of impossible thing. The young man's hand was still stretched out in mid-air, a foot away from Duan Muyu's wrist, but it couldn't go any further. Lin Yi himself didn't expect that the power of the spiritual awareness whirlpool turning into pill fire would be so amazing. In just a flick of a finger, the young man's soul had already been turned into ashes. He didn't even have time to scream, and his whole body slowly fell to the ground on his back. Wei Yidao, who was behind him, was dumbfounded. In fact, he did not know what had happened, but the young man was already completely finished. Without going over to confirm, Wei Yidao was sure that the young man was completely dead. A bone-chilling feeling spread from the bottom of Wei Yidao's heart. Not only was he afraid of Lin Yi's means, but he was also afraid of the sect behind this young man. Wei Yidao was powerless against them. After a short while, Wei Yidao laughed hysterically. "It's over. You're dead. I'm dead too. How dare you kill the son of the sect leader of Qingkuan sect so openly? Blue Cloud sect on the North Island. Yiling sect. Thousand Blade sect. And our Tyrant Saber sect. Get ready to bear the wrath of Qingkuan sect." In the end, Wei Yidao's wild laughter turned into crying. The son of the sect leader of Qingkuan sect. He had come because of his instigation, but he had died in the hands of Lin Yi the moment they met. It was basically impossible for Tyrant Saber's sect to stay out of this. Just as Wei Yidao had said, Qingkuan sect's wrath would turn all the sects that were related to them into ashes. Hearing the words, Qingkuan sect, many of the onlookers who had been watching the show disappeared without a trace. As the saying went, a fire at the city gate would bring disaster to the fish in the moat. Anyone who had anything to do with this matter might become the unlucky fish in the moat. Therefore, it was better to run as far away as possible now. The waiter's expression had already changed. Lin Yi was indeed someone that the inn didn't want to provoke, but Qingkuan's sect was ranked first on the list of people that they couldn't afford to offend. In fact, the inn had the shadow of Qingkuan's sect behind it. Now that the son of the sect leader of Qingkuan's sect had died in an inn, things were really getting out of hand. Wei Yidao, who had lost control of his emotions, ran out crying and laughing. He didn't even care about the body of the son of the sect leader. As for the people of the inn, they didn't come out to do anything. This matter was no longer something that they could handle. Both sides were not simple people. Staying out of it was the best way. In fact, the background of the inn was one of the 4 major sects. The primordial mountains were jointly controlled by the 4 major sections. Naturally, the ruined town was also jointly controlled by the 4 major sections. The reason why the inn was so confident was because of this place. If Lin Yi was only the martial granduncle of the Blue Cloud sect in the North Island without the identity of a senior alchemist, the inn would naturally deal with him immediately for the sake of the Qingkuan sect behind it. But since Lin Yi was not so simple, and the Qingkuan sect was only one of the 4 masters behind the inn, it was best for the Qingkuan sect to deal with him themselves. Ling Tianyou's face was a little pale, but there was no fear in his expression. Anyway, the Thousand Blades faction and the Qingkuan sect had been enemies for generations. One more life was not a big deal at all. "Brother Lin, this time I, Ling Tianyou, have dragged you down. If Wei Yidao hadn't wanted to deal with me, he wouldn't have brought the people of the Qingkuan sect here and dragged you into this." Ling Tianyou said to Lin Yi apologetically. Chapter 55:14. If it was only Ling Tianyou himself, it would not be a big deal to offend the Chinkuan sect. But Lin Yi had the North Island's Blue Cloud sect behind him. Offending the Chinkuan sect was not a good thing for the North Island's Blue Cloud sect. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "It's none of your business. This time, this guy provoked me. He deserves to die." This was true. If the son of the head of the Chinkuan sect had not wanted to flirt with Duanmuyu, Lin Yi might not have killed him. This was the case with Wei Yidao and the Hegemon Saber sect. Lin Yi did not even seriously injure them. He just taught them a lesson. As for the Chinkuan sect, Lin Yi really did not care much about it. It was just a son of the head of the sect. Even if it was the head of the sect, it did not matter if he died. This time, the North Island's Blue Cloud sect was going to compete for the top 4. In any case, they had to pull down one of the top 4 so that the North Island's Blue Cloud sect could be promoted. Originally, there was no goal. Now, it was the Chinkuan sect. Duanmuyu didn't say anything, but he felt a sweetness in his heart. Lin Yi said that the guy had provoked him, so he deserved to die. Didn't that mean that Duanmuyu's problem was Lin Yi's problem? As for the horror of the Chinkuan sect, Duanmuyu did not feel anything. The more time he spent with Lin Yi, the more he felt that Lin Yi was unfathomable. Those magical abilities gave Duanmuyu a strong confidence for no reason. As long as Lin Yi was there was nothing that could not be solved. After hearing Lin Yi's words, Ling Tianyu did not seem to be relieved. He still looked guilty. Lin Yi patted him on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I will deal with it." Duanmuyu also tried to persuade him. Ling Tianyu was an open-minded person, so he also let go of his worries. However, the Thousand Blades faction still had to make some preparations, so he immediately took his leave. The residents of Blue Cloud sect and Yiling's sect in the North Island were adjacent to each other. Lin Yi went back with Duanmuyu. As for the things here, someone from an inn would naturally take care of them. Lin Yi only needed to think about how to face the revenge of Chinkuan sect. Duanmuyu also knew that Lin Yi needed to discuss the matter of Chinkuan sect with the people of Blue Cloud sect in the North Island. Therefore, even though he was a little reluctant, he had no choice but to part ways with Lin Yi when they arrived at Yiling sect. After Lin Yi returned to Green Cloud sect in the North Island, Xianijia immediately came to him. Xianijia had already received the news about what had just happened. After all, the son of the head of Chinkuan sect was killed by Lin Yi. This kind of news spread quite fast. "Martial Granduncle, are you going to take action against Chinkuan sect?" Xianijia asked immediately after being asked by Lin Yi to sit down. Lin Yi looked at Xianijia strangely and said, "You don't seem to be worried that Chinkuan sect will take revenge on Blue Cloud sect at all?" "Worry? Why should I worry?" Xianijia was stunned, and then he said with a smile, "Martial Granduncle, don't joke. With you and Blue Cloud sect, what's there to worry about? Besides, I know what you're thinking. One of the top 4 is the goal of our Blue Cloud sect in the North Island in the Archean Grand Meeting this time. Since we want to be promoted, we need one of the top 4 to give us a place." "Huh, you're quite insightful." Lin Yi really thought so he had nothing to hide. Xianijia thought for a while and then said, "I originally thought that Martial Granduncle would choose the weaker top 4, such as Enlightenment sect, which ranks 3rd among the top 4. I didn't expect that Martial Granduncle would directly choose Chinkuan sect, the top of the top 4. Are you trying to make our Blue Cloud sect the top of the top 4? Martial Granduncle's courage is really not something that I can compare with." Looking at Xianijia's compliment in the last sentence, Lin Yi was secretly amused. Since when did he want to pick the strongest Chinkuan sect? It was just that the people from Chinkuan sect jumped out to court death. To Lin Yi, the ranking of the top 4 was really not that useful. It was the same for any one of them. "You said that my target would be the weaker top 4, such as Enlightenment sect, which ranks 3rd among the top 4. Why isn't it the weakest one?" The fourth should be the Shangguan clan, right? According to what you said, wouldn't it be better to choose the fourth instead of the third? Lin Yi thought it was a little strange, so he asked casually. Xianijia seemed to have expected that Lin Yi didn't know, so he didn't feel strange at all. He still answered respectfully, Martial Granduncle, the Shangguan clan is the backing sect of our Blue Cloud sect in the North Island. No, it should be said that the Shangguan clan is the backing sect of our North Island alliance. Although the Shangguan clan is the weakest among the top four, it seems that we shouldn't attack them because of this relationship. Backing sect? If the Blue Cloud sect is in trouble, will the Shangguan clan stand up for them? Lin Yi asked curiously. He had been in the ancient underworld for quite some time, but this was the first time he heard that the Shangguan clan had such a relationship with the Blue Cloud sect or the three big sects of the North Island. Uncle Master, you know that the four sides of the immemorial mountain range are controlled by the four big sects and families. Anyone who wants to get the resources in the immemorial mountain range has to choose one of the four big sects and families. Otherwise, it will be extremely difficult to get the resources, let alone the position of the 10 small sects and families. All the sects and families in the immemorial small Jianghu are basically under the command of the four big sects and families. It's just that the relationship is a little loose, Xianijia explained patiently. Lin Yi nodded and said, I see. Then why did the three big sects of the North Island choose the Shangguan clan as their backing sect? Geographically speaking, the Shangguan clan isn't the closest to the three big sects of the North Island. Xianijia said with a smile, that's because the three big sects of the North Island and the Shangguan clan are related. Thousands of years ago, the Shangguan clan didn't exist. They were originally a family that separated from the soaring sect of the North Island. However, after a long period of development, the Shangguan clan became even more powerful than the three big sects of the North Island. Since they are from the same sect, the three big sects of the North Island naturally chose the Shangguan clan as their backing sect. Lin Yi was shocked. The Shangguan clan really came from the soaring sect? Wasn't that the same as the soaring sect of the Heaven Step Island? It seemed like the Shangguan clan and the Shanghai Tianhua were related by blood. If that was the case, for the sake of Shanghai Tianhua, Lin Yi should take good care of the Shangguan clan. Chapter 55-15. Of course, with the Shangguan family's status in the immemorial underworld, they would never think that they needed Lin Yi's help. Instead, they would take care of Lin Yi. Speaking of which, when Lin Yi heard about the relationship between the Shangguan family and the three big sects of the North Island, he couldn't help but recall a similar story when he was in the secular world. The Hidden Yu family was originally a branch of the secular Yu family, but after they developed in the hidden world, they became the sect leader of the secular Yu family. This kind of inspiring story was quite similar. Oh right, Grand Uncle, I forgot to tell you, the Xuanji sect has now joined the Five Element sect. So, to be exact, only the Soaring Sky sect and our Blue Cloud sect have the Shangguan family as our backing. Xianijia had been talking about the three big sects of the North Island for a long time, but he suddenly realized that the situation was a little different now, so he quickly added. The Xuanji sect has joined the Five Element sect? Why? Lin Yi asked curiously. Didn't they say that the three big sects of the North Island were in the same boat? Why did the Xuanji sect join the Five Element sect? Xianijia sighed and said, you can't blame the Xuanji sect for joining the Five Element sect. The Shangguan family is just too weak among the four big sections. The Xuanji sect hasn't been able to enter the top 10 small sects and families for a few years now. If it wasn't for the support from the Soaring Sky sect and our Blue Cloud sect, their strength would only continue to decline. Therefore, in order to re-enter the top 10 small sects and families, they have no other choice but to join the Five Element sect. Lin Yi nodded and said, so that's what happened. Forget it then. The three big sects of the North Island are in the same boat. When our Blue Cloud sect becomes the top 10, the Xuanji sect will come back. That's right, with Grand Uncle, the Xuanji sect will come back. Xianijia nodded hard, then asked, Grand Uncle Master, although we, the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, have set our goal as the top 4 sects in the Archean Grand Meeting this time, we still need to choose one of the top 4 sects as our backing before we start. Do you think it's still the Shangguan clan? Let's go with the Shangguan clan. Since they have such a good relationship, there's no need to change it. Lin Yi casually made up his mind. Whether the Shangguan clan was weak or not, Lin Yi didn't care at all, it was just a name. If he wanted to be strong, the most important thing was his own strength. Alright, since Grand Marshal Uncle thinks that the Shangguan clan is good enough, I'll send my name card to the Shangguan clan. Once the Shangguan clan sends someone to inform us, we'll pay them a visit. It's just a formality, Xianijia felt it was wrong to ask Lin Yi to greet the Shangguan clan, so he quickly added. Lin Yi didn't really care whether he paid a visit or not. He just nodded indifferently and said, You go and arrange it. Yes, Grand Master. I'll take my leave now. Xianijia stood up and bowed. He took a few steps back before he turned around and left. Lin Yi couldn't do anything about Xianijia's courteous behavior, so he could only let him be. At the same time, Wei Yidao, who had regained his consciousness, had already found the base of the Qinkuan sect. He was kneeling on the ground with tears and snot running down his face, distorting the truth. He wanted to get rid of the Tyrant Saber sect and himself, then he wanted to frame Lin Yi and the others. Sect leader, the young sect leader saw that Duanmuyu from the Yiling sect was talented, so he went over to chat with him. However, Ling Tianyu from the Thousand Blades sect saw it. Everyone knows that the Thousand Blades sect and the Qinkuan sect have a grudge against each other, so Ling Tianyu, this vicious villain, immediately found Lin Yi from the Blue Cloud sect in the North Island. Lin Yi is Duanmuyu's admirer. Under Ling Tianyu's instigation, he sneakily attacked the young sect leader. The poor young sect leader is a heavenly talent, but he was actually killed by these villains. I wanted to rescue him, but because I was too weak, I didn't even have the chance to do so. Wei Yidao burst into tears as he spoke. His acting skills were absolutely amazing. In fact, Wei Yidao was afraid that his lie would be exposed. If that happened, he and the Tyrant Saber sect would definitely end up worse than Lin Yi and the others. Therefore, his crying was not fake. The person sitting in the middle was the sect leader of the Qinkuan sect, Tribulation Immortal. He was an expert at the peak of the late nascent soul realm, and he was the one who led the team to participate in the Archeozoic Grand Meeting. The highest elder, Immortal Du Nan, did not come to the Archeozoic Mountains. Instead, he stayed in the sect. The reason why the Qinkuan sect was so powerful was not because of Immortal Du Nan's strength, but because there were 7 nascent soul realm experts in the entire Qinkuan sect. In addition to Immortal Du Nan, who was at the peak of the late nascent soul realm, the second was Tribulation Immortal, who was at the peak of the late nascent soul realm. In addition, there was 1 late nascent soul realm, 2 middle nascent soul realm, and 2 early nascent soul realm experts. However, before the Archeozoic Grand Meeting started, Tribulation Immortal's son, an expert at the early nascent soul realm of the Qinkuan sect, was inexplicably killed. Hearing Wei Yidao's words, Tribulation Immortal slapped the tea table beside him with a cold face. The entire tea table, along with the teacups and ornaments on it, turned into powder in an instant and fluttered to the ground. Wei Yidao happened to steal a glance at Tribulation Immortal and was immediately frightened. He immediately kept quiet out of fear, but his body could not stop trembling slightly. What a great green cloud sect of the North Island! What a great Lin Yi! How dare you kill my son who is going through Tribulation Immortal? You really don't know how to write the word death. At this time, Tribulation Immortal almost could not suppress the killing intent in his heart. Although he had more than one son, and this person at the early nascent soul realm was not the most outstanding one, his son was still his son. If he did not get angry, he might as well cut his own throat. Wei Yidao, who was kneeling on the ground, was overjoyed. It seemed that Tribulation Immortal's main target was Lin Yi. As for the Tyrant Saber sect, it seemed that they did not want to vent their anger on him. Although Yiling's sect and Qianren's sect were not mentioned by Tribulation Immortal, this result was already beyond Wei Yidao's imagination. As long as he could get rid of Lin Yi, Yiling's sect and Qianren's sect would be easy to deal with. Not to mention the Qinkuan sect, even the Tyrant Saber's sect would not take these two sects seriously. Sect leader, please calm down. After all, the Green Cloud sect of the North Island is one of the top 10 sections. Although we, the Qinkuan sect, are the leader of the four big sects, we still have to abide by the rules set at the beginning. Otherwise, we, the leader of the four big sects, will be jointly targeted by the other three sects. An elder of the Qinkuan sect beside him persuaded in a low voice. The Archaeozoic Grand Meeting was about to begin, and the Qinkuan sect could not be disorderly. Tribulation Immortal took a deep breath, nodded and said, yes. Although we, the Qinkuan sect, are the leader of the four big sects, we have not reached the point where we can cover the sky with one hand. Since we made the agreement that year, we must abide by it. At worst, after the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting begins, we can target the Green Cloud sect of the North Island. Chapter 55-16. Wei Yidao didn't dare to interrupt, but he couldn't help feeling disappointed. He had heard about the agreement mentioned by Tribulation Jinren. It seemed to be an agreement between the four big sects and families. Anyone who wanted to attack the 10 small sects and families of the four big sects and families had to get the consent of the four big sects and families. Otherwise, the four big sects would be in chaos, and the so-called backing sects would only exist in name. If the Qinkuan sect wanted to attack the Blue Cloud sect, they had to get the consent of the backing sections. Otherwise, they would violate the rule and be attacked by the other three sects and families. Although the Qinkuan sect was stronger than the other three big sects, if the other three big sects joined hands, they would be able to crush the Qinkuan sect. Because of this, the balance of power in the small archaic Jianghu could be maintained. Someone, go and find out which backing sect the Blue Cloud sect is this year. Tribulation Jinren didn't lose his mind. He immediately sent someone to investigate the situation of the Blue Cloud sect. According to the usual practice, the Green Cloud sect of the North Island should be supported by the Shengguan family. It was the weakest among the four big sects, with only 3 nascent soul cultivators, which barely met the standard of the 4 big sections. If the Green Cloud sect of the North Island was still under the Shengguan family, Tribulation Jinren felt that he might be able to get permission from the Shengguan family when he proposed to deal with the Green Cloud sect of the North Island. But if the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island switched to a powerful sect like the Five Elements sect, like the Xuanji sect of the North Island, which was only slightly inferior to the Qinkuan sect, they would never agree to the request of the Qinkuan sect. A disciple of the Qinkuan sect outside the door answered and ran out quickly. It wasn't a secret, so he could get the news by asking around. Soon, the disciple came back to report. Sect leader, the North Island's Blue Cloud sect hasn't paid a visit to the pier yet, so they don't have a backer yet. However, I heard that the North Island's Blue Cloud sect has already sent a visit card to the Shengguan clan. I think they have chosen the Shengguan clan as their backer this year. This disciple was very clear. He even knew that Xianijia had just sent someone to the Shengguan family to send a visiting card. Great. That's great. Tribulation Crossing Jinren suddenly opened his eyes, sneered and said, "Spread the news for me right now. The Blue Cloud sect of the North Island killed my son." The Shengguan family? I'd like to see if you dare to accept the North Island Blue Cloud sect. If the North Island's Blue Cloud sect had already paid their respects and become a disciple of the Shengguan family, then maybe the Shengguan family would protect the North Island's Blue Cloud sect for the sake of their reputation. But since the North Island's Blue Cloud sect was not yet a disciple of the Shengguan family, then after hearing the news released by the Qinkuan sect, they would have to carefully consider whether to accept the North Island's Blue Cloud sect or not. Was it worth it for the Shengguan clan to offend the Qinkuan sect, the leader of the 4 big sects, just for the Blue Cloud sect? Not to mention the Shengguan clan, even if the Five Elements sect got the news, they might not accept the trouble of the Blue Cloud sect from the North Island, because it was obvious that they were the enemy of the Qianquan sect. Sect leader is brilliant. As long as we spread the news, I guess the other 3 sects will not deliberately disrespect our Qianquan sect. At that time, the Green Cloud sect of the North Island will not even have a sect to rely on. It will be a piece of cake to kill them. The elder who tried to persuade Jinren crossing Calamity agreed with his method very much, and he sent Wei Yidao to help. Wei Yidao was overjoyed. He immediately thanked Jinren crossing Calamity and left. He had been prepared for the Tyrant Saber sect to vent their anger on them, but he did not expect that Lin Yi was so powerful that he directly took all the blame. In fact, Wei Yidao did not understand that the Qianquan sect completely targeted Lin Yi because they had complete information about Lin Yi. They knew that Lin Yi was the pillar of the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. If they did not get rid of Lin Yi, even if the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island didn't do anything this time, they would definitely have a chance to soar next time. Although the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island might not be able to threaten the position of the Qianquan sect, the Qianquan sect did not want to easily change the current power structure. They originally had the intention of suppressing the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. Now that such a thing had happened, if they did not take the opportunity to target the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, they would never be able to rise again. At the same time, the Shengguan family had received the visiting card from the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, and they agreed to meet the people from the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. However, when the people from the Blue Cloud sect went back to report, the news spread by the Qianquan sect also reached the Shengguan family. For a moment, the expression of the current family leader of the Shengguan family changed. Should he meet the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island or not? Shengguan Qingyun walked back and forth with his hands behind his back. As the current family leader of the Shengguan family, it was really difficult for him to make a decision about the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. Based on the relationship between the Shengguan family and the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, they should accept the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. After all, they had already accepted the visiting card. However, offending the Qianquan sect for the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island was not the result that Shengguan Qingyun wanted to see. No, I have to ask my father for his opinion on this matter. Shengguan Qingyun muttered. In the end, he decided to pass this burden to his father, the supreme elder of the Shengguan family, Shengguan Feixing. After making the decision, Shengguan Qingyun immediately went to meet his father. This time, the Shengguan family had mobilized the entire Shengguan family for the distant ancient grand meeting, and all of their high-end combat power had come. Therefore, it was quite easy for Shengguan Qingyun to meet Shengguan Feixing. Father, about the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island. Shengguan Qingyun couldn't wait to speak before he entered the room. Calm down. Shengguan Feixing calmly interrupted Shengguan Qingyun's words. At this moment, he was riding a brush beside the desk. Although he knew that his son was here, he had no intention of raising his head. Shengguan Qingyun knew that his father didn't like to be interrupted when he was writing, so he could only shut his mouth in embarrassment. After Shengguan Feixing finished writing, he put down the brush in his hand, raised his head, and said unhappily, "You're already so old, why are you still so impatient? You have to be as calm as a mountain when you encounter problems. The more you panic, the more mistakes you'll make." Yes. I understand. Shengguan Qingyun hurriedly bowed to accept the advice. In the Shengguan family, the words of the old master were everything. Although Shengguan Qingyun was the current family master, important decisions still required Shengguan Feixing's approval. Tell me, what happened to the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island? Did they switch to the other 4 big sects like the Xuanji sect? Shengguan Feixing's tone was calm, but Shengguan Qingyun felt that there was a hint of melancholy in it. The Shengguan family had been weak for a long time, and even the Xuanji sect, which they had always supported, had switched to the 5-element sect. If the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island did the same, then the Shengguan family would indeed have no say among the 4 big sections. Chapter 55-17. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go. Shaw.net provides you with wonderful novels to read. From this point of view, the Shangguan family should accept the Green Cloud sect from the North Island. However, when he thought that he would have to fall out with the Qiankuan sect because of this, Shangguan Qingyun felt that he had lost his courage. Hence, he could only clench his teeth and say, "It's not like that. The Green Cloud sect from the North Island has sent an invitation card." When Shangguan Feixing heard this, his expression relaxed slightly. He then said nonchalantly, "Since that's the case, do you have any other questions? The problem is that Lin Yi from the Green Cloud faction on the North Island killed the son of the Tribulation Master of the Qiankuan faction. The Qiankuan sect has already spread the news." Shangguan Qingyun did not make it clear. He only mentioned it briefly. He believed that his father would understand. As expected, after Shangguan Feixing frowned slightly, he nodded lightly and said, "Lin Yi, I know this person. He is the martial granduncle who suddenly appeared in the North Island's Blue Cloud sect. Originally, our Shangguan clan should have befriended this man. Originally, it should be, then what about now? It shouldn't be, right?" Shangguan Qingyun nodded his head in understanding. He roughly understood what his father meant. Although his father had just felt sorry for the fact that Xuanji sect had turned to his family, it seemed a little unkind to completely give up the Blue Cloud sect in the North Island now. However, Shangguan Qingyun quite agreed with this approach. "Let's play it by ear." Shangguan Feixing picked up the weasel hair brush on the brush rack again, dipped it in the thick ink, and continued to write. This also meant that the conversation was over. Shangguan Qingyun respectfully took his leave, thinking about how to adapt to the situation. Shangguan Feixing's intention was quite obvious. In order to not offend the Qiankuan sect, he would give up on accepting the Blue Cloud sect from the North Island. He had no other choice, as the Shangguan family was too weak. The Qiankuan sect had a total of 7 nascent soul realm cultivators. Alright, one had died just now, so there were still 6 left. However, the Shangguan clan only had 3 nascent soul realm cultivators in total, and this was already the lowest number of the 4 big clans. If they had less than 3 nascent soul realm cultivators, they would be kicked out of the 4 big clans at any time. Blue Cloud sect of the North Island is really troublesome. Shangguan Qingyun whispered to himself. If they hadn't received the visiting card and knew about the Qiankuan sect, the Shangguan clan wouldn't have accepted the visiting card at all. Now that they had agreed to meet the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island, it wouldn't make sense for them not to meet them. In that case, he could only meet them once and then casually send them away. Shangguan Qingyun made up his mind. He immediately waved his hand at a Shangguan clan disciple that was passing by and said, "You, come here." "Patriarch. What instructions do you have for this disciple?" That disciple was a disciple from a branch family of the Shangguan clan. Normally, he wouldn't have the chance to talk to Shangguan Qingyun. Now that he was suddenly summoned by Shangguan Qingyun, he immediately ran over. "You are the 6th son of the 7th branch, right?" Shangguan Qingyun thought for a while and asked uncertainly. After all, he was a disciple of a branch family and had only seen it occasionally. It was already good enough that he could remember this. "Yes, yes. Master, you can just call me Little Six." Little Six was overjoyed. He didn't expect the patriarch to be able to know his family ranking. Although he didn't know his full name, it was still not an easy feat. Little Six, I see. In a while, the people from the North Island's Blue Cloud sect will come to visit us. They want our Shangguan clan to be their backing. I have some matters to attend to and it's not convenient for me to meet them. You can just find a reason to send them away. Shangguan Qingyun thought that it wasn't suitable for him to go out, so he asked someone to send away the people from the North Island's Blue Cloud sect. However, he didn't want to reject them too obviously. After this matter was over, it would be best if he could pull the North Island's Blue Cloud sect back to the Shangguan clan. After all, the Shangguan clan was already the weakest of the 4 big sections. If they lost the Blue Cloud sect after the Xuanji sect, then the Shangguan clan would really lose their right to speak. However, Shangguan Qingyun didn't consider that when the Blue Cloud sect needed the Shangguan clan chose to stand by and do nothing. After this matter was over, what reason would the Blue Cloud sect have to return to the Shangguan clan? Furthermore, with the Blue Cloud sect as an example, which other sect would be willing to tie themselves to the Shangguan clan, a clan without any guts? Xiao Liuzi understands. Xiao Liuzi is definitely the right person to handle such a small matter. Master, just look at my performance. Xiao Liuzi immediately patted his chest. It was a rare opportunity to be able to perform in front of the master. No matter what, he had to seize it. As they were talking, a disciple came to report, "Master, the people from the North Island's Blue Cloud sect are here." So fast. Shangguan Qingyun was a little surprised. The people from the North Island's Blue Cloud sect had arrived not long after the person who sent the visiting card left. It seemed like the people from the Blue Cloud sect were anxious. They hoped to immediately rely on the Shangguan clan, so that the Qiankuan sect couldn't attack the Blue Cloud sect. In fact, Shangguan Qingyun was overthinking. Lin Yi and Xianijia didn't care about the Qiankuan sect at all. They wanted to use the Blue Cloud sect as a stepping stone to rise to the top. What was there to be afraid of? The reason why they came so quickly was only because the Blue Cloud sect's base was separated from the Shangguan clan by the Soaring Gate. Xiao Liuzi immediately cupped his fists and said in high spirits, "Master, I'll go and send them away. I'll come back soon to report to you." Shangguan Qingyun wanted to say that Xiao Liuzi's reason was a little euphemistic, but after thinking about it, there was no need to specifically explain it. Anyway, the people who came were not the direct descendants of the Shangguan clan. Even if the Blue Cloud sect was dissatisfied, when they could escape from the Qiankuan sect, he, as the Shangguan clan's master, would come forward personally. Then, everything could be salvaged. Therefore, Shangguan Qingyun didn't say much. He just waved his hand and asked Xiao Liuzi to represent the Shangguan clan to meet the people from the North Island's Blue Cloud sect. In the guest hall, Lin Yi and Xianijia were both there. Although the Shangguan clan was the weakest among the four big families, Lin Yi thought that he should take care of the Shangguan clan for the sake that they were from the same bloodline as Shanghai Tianhua. Therefore, he came to talk to the Shangguan clan's master personally. When the Archaeozoic Grand Meeting was held, the two sides should cooperate better. If the people from the Shangguan clan didn't know what was going on and accidentally hurt them, it wouldn't be fun if they killed two of the four big families at once. That's right, Lin Yi put both sides on the same level. To be honest, he had already overestimated the Shangguan clan. As for the backing sect, it was just a name. When the North Island's Blue Cloud sect became the leader of the four big families, it would be hard to say which sect would be the backing sect. He thought to himself, "I thought I knew Grand Uncle Master's style very well, but I didn't know him well enough." "Yes, Grand Uncle, I'll keep that in mind," Xianijia answered, feeling relieved. In the past, no one from the Blue Cloud sect would dare to be disrespectful to the Shangguan family. No matter how weak the Shangguan family was, they were still one of the big four. Any nascent soul cultivator would be stronger than the Blue Cloud sect. Shangguan Qingyun was extremely angry at this moment. Although Xiao Lu was indeed rude, he still represented the Shangguan family. How dare Lin Yi turn against him and send him flying with a slap? What was the Blue Cloud sect trying to do? Could the people from the Reliance sect be beaten up as they pleased? The Shangguan family was indeed weak. The Qiankuan sect and the Five Elements sect basically knew Lin Yi quite well. Only the Shangguan family's information about Lin Yi was still at the time when he first entered the ancient Jianghu. The Blue Cloud sect of the North Island brought back a Grand Uncle Master with a primordial spirit from the secular world. "Luyun, go and teach these arrogant bastards a lesson. How dare they fight in our Shangguan family?" Shangguan Qingyun turned around and whispered to the middle stage nascent soul realm elder, Shangguan Luyun, who was following him. Shangguan Luyun also heard that the people from the Blue Cloud sect were here, so he wanted to come and see them. However, after meeting Shangguan Qingyun, he knew the family's decision, so he simply followed Shangguan Qingyun to see the situation. Now that Shangguan Qingyun had spoken, Shangguan Luyun was naturally duty-bound to do it. He immediately agreed and appeared in the living room. How dare you? How dare you fight with the people of the Shangguan family in our place? Do you really think that the Shangguan family can be bullied by others? Kneel down and admit your guilt. Shangguan Luyun shouted, and at the same time, he revealed his momentum of the middle stage nascent soul realm. In Shangguan Luyun's view, after the Blue Cloud sect of the North Island lost Qinzhou, they would not even be qualified to be one of the top 10. Otherwise, they would not let a person at the early stage of Gold Core be the leader. As for Lin Yi, he seemed to have hidden his strength. Although he showed that he was at the peak of Foundation establishment, he should have the strength of the nascent soul realm. However, he was at most at the peak of the early stage of nascent soul. Therefore, the momentum of the middle stage nascent soul realm was enough to oppress Lin Yi and Xianijia. He did not need to make a move, he could directly use his momentum to make the two beg for mercy. This was the way that the Shangguan family should do. However, Shangguan Luyun did not expect that under the pressure of his middle stage nascent soul realm, even the leader of the early stage Gold Core realm, Xianijia, did not show any discomfort, let alone Lin Yi, who was still drinking tea leisurely. Not only that, Xianijia, who was initially smiling, suddenly turned cold after Shangguan Luyun revealed his power. He straightened his back and his surging aura pushed back Shangguan Luyun's aura like a monstrous tide, suppressing Shangguan Luyun. Late stage nascent soul. Shangguan Luyun was suddenly dumbfounded. What was going on? Where was the early stage of Gold Core? Even if nascent soul was mistaken as Gold Core, it was still the early stage of nascent soul. Late stage nascent soul, what the hell was that? Lin Yi put down the teacup in his hand, and directly made a combination punch of Soul Vortex and Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. While Shangguan Luyun's divine sense was unstable, he slapped him and sent him flying. He then said calmly, I told you just now, did you forget it again? Don't show off your momentum, just send him flying. Do you want him to kneel down and admit his guilt? You can't be so ruthless. You can't be so ruthless. Yes, Grand Uncle. Xianijia agreed, and secretly wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He could not tell whether he was ruthless or Grand Uncle was ruthless. After all, Shangguan Luyun was a middle-stage nascent soul realm master, and Lin Yi did not have any intention to kill him. Therefore, the ordinary Soul Vortex and Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm did not cause much harm to Shangguan Luyun. After being sent flying, Shangguan Luyun immediately stabilized his body. Although he was a little dirty, at least he was not as miserable as Xiaoluzi. Patriarch. They. Shangguan Luyun was about to speak when he was interrupted by Shangguan Qingyun's glare. Shut up. Shangguan Qingyun's face was filled with anger. He pointed at Shangguan Luyun and said, Luyun, you are an elder of the Shangguan clan. How could you offend a guest? And Xiaoluzi, don't you know that guests are guests and you must welcome them with a smile? Don't tell me that the friends from the Green Cloud sect came here to make trouble. Looking at you, I know the problem must be with you. Shangguan Luyun and Xiaoluzi felt wronged. However, the patriarch had made it clear that he wanted to push them out as scapegoats. They wouldn't be insensible enough to go against the patriarch. Now, they could only bear the blame. You, what should I say to you? Shangguan Qingyun looked distressed. After pointing at Shangguan Luyun, he pointed at Xiaoluzi, and then at Shangguan Luyun. Have you forgotten that I have always said that the Shangguan clan comes from the three major sects of the North Island? We and the three major sects of the North Island are brother sects of the same origin. We are of the same breath and branches, and we advance and retreat together. Why don't you listen to me? Lin Yi picked up the teacup again and took a sip, He didn't want to talk at the moment, so he just drank tea and watched the show. After Shangguan Qingyun finished his performance, he should get to the point. Judging from Shangguan Qingyun's attitude, today's matter should be over. Lin Yi didn't want to make things too difficult for the Shangguan clan. After all, he had to give face to Shanghai Tianhua, not to mention the relationship with the Green Cloud sect. After reprimanding the two scapegoats, Shangguan Qingyun turned to Lin Yi and Xianijia with a smile and said, "My two friends, please don't mind them. These two guys probably have some complaints about the three major sects of the North Island because Xuanji's sect switched to five-element sect. So, they vented their dissatisfaction on the Green Cloud sect. After all, the three major sects of the North Island have always been a trinity. My two friends, please forgive them." He was really good at shifting the blame. Lin Yi didn't bother to expose him, so he just drank his tea. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't respond, Xianijia had to speak up himself. After all, the current leader of the Green Cloud sect was Xianijia. Since the patriarch of the Shangguan clan had already said something good, he couldn't go too far. Therefore, Xianijia and Shangguan Qingyun began to chat casually. However, they had a tacit understanding not to mention the sect they relied on for the time being. Xianijia still didn't know what Lin Yi was thinking, so he naturally didn't dare to make a decision on his own. Shangguan Qingyun was the same. Although he already had the intention to rope in the Green Cloud sect, this matter was of great importance. After all, the decision still needed to be made by the old master. Since there was such a big commotion, Shangguan Qingyun knew that the old master would definitely come. However, the old master would never step out of the study room before he finished his calligraphy. Therefore, he could only delay it for now and wait for the old master to finish his calligraphy. Shangguan Qingyun felt that it was quite good for him to be able to do what Shangguan Feishing said. Fortunately, Xianijia was very cooperative and didn't put Shangguan Qingyun in a difficult position. Finally, when Lin Yi finished his second cup of tea out of boredom, Shangguan Feishing appeared. He was still holding the calligraphy that he had just finished. After he came in, he handed it to Shangguan Luyun, who had a black face and a black walk on his back, and said, "Useless thing, frame the calligraphy when it's dry." Shangguan Luyun didn't dare to refute. He quickly took it and said, "Yes. Grand Supreme Elder." Seeing Shangguan Feishing coming in, Shangguan Qingyun and Xianijia stood up to welcome the pillar of the Shangguan family. Only Lin Yi was still sitting calmly. He even signaled the disciple who was serving him to refill his teacup. Shangguan Feishing frowned at Lin Yi's attitude, his face expressionless. "Master Xian, your Green Cloud sect is really too arrogant now. It seems like our Shangguan house will have to rely on your Green Cloud sect in the future." Chapter 55-20. Xianijia was slightly stunned. He did not expect Lin Yi to ignore Shangguan Feishing like this. However, Xianijia thought about Lin Yi's identity and realized that he did not need to take Lin Yi seriously. As a staunch supporter of Lin Yi, Xianijia immediately replied, "Senior Shangguan, you're exaggerating. However, based on our Grand Master's seniority, it's fine for Senior Shangguan to call him Grand Master. Don't you think it's a bit too much to say that Grand Master is arrogant?" Shangguan Feishing was so angry that he laughed. "What a joke. Don't think that I don't know that you brought back a strange primordial spirit from the secular world and claimed that he was the Grand Master of the Azure Cloud sect. It's fine if the Azure Cloud sect wants to mess around, but now you want me to call him Grand Master too? Do you really think that the Azure Cloud sect is the best in the world?" Lin Yi suddenly looked up at Shangguan Feishing and said calmly, "It's not up to you to decide whether the Azure Cloud sect is the best in the world. As for whether the Shangguan clan is going to rely on the Azure Cloud sect in the future, let's not talk about it for now. Let's talk about one thing now. What does the Shangguan clan want in this archaic grand meeting?" After a short pause, Lin Yi continued in a serious tone, "The Shangguan clan and the Azure Cloud sect are enemies? Friends? Lin Yi's words revealed his unquestionable confidence. To be an enemy or a friend, there was only one choice. And to Lin Yi, these two didn't seem to be any different. Shangguan Feixing was furious, but he was shrewd enough to not fall out with Lin Yi on the spot. He immediately laughed and avoided Lin Yi's question. Instead, he brought the topic back to the Grand Master's seniority. I've always said that the Shangguan clan and the three big sects of the Northern Island are of the same origin. If you can prove that you're the real Grand Master of the Blue Cloud sect, then I'll call you Grand Master. But if you can't prove it, then I won't waste my breath on a fake like you. Shangguan Feixing sat down, squinted at Lin Yi, and said coldly. Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. According to his previous temperament, Shangguan Feixing's words were equivalent to answering Lin Yi's question. From now on, the Shangguan clan and Jadian were enemies and not friends. However, when he thought about the help that Shanghai Tianhua had given him on Heaven's Stage Island, Lin Yi was patient and did not leave in a huff. Forget it. Since you want evidence, I'll give you one. Lin Yi pointed at the calligraphy in Shangguan Liuyan's hand and said, if I'm not mistaken, what you wrote just now should be the Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method, right? Shangguan Feixing was slightly startled. The Shangguan clan's cultivation technique was something that ordinary people would never know. Although the Shangguan clan had the habit of using their cultivation technique as a form of calligraphy, even if an outsider were to see it, apart from the direct descendants of the Shangguan clan, no one would be able to understand it. For Lin Yi to be able to say that the calligraphy was the Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method, it showed that he had a good eye. But just this alone was far from enough to prove that Lin Yi was the Grand Master of the Blue Cloud sect. You're quite knowledgeable, but this isn't a secret. Your Blue Cloud sect should have some books about this. Don't tell me you're thinking of using this to prove your identity as a senior? Shangguan Feixing had a mocking smile on his face, hiding his true thoughts. Lin Yi smiled and said, don't worry. What I want to say is, your calligraphy is not bad, but it's a pity that you didn't complete it. This time, Shangguan Feixing was really shocked. Outsiders wouldn't be able to understand the Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method, so even if they saw it, they wouldn't know that what he had written down was only a fragment of the Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method. Furthermore, this was only the last part of the incomplete manual. Outsiders would only think that it was a few profound sentences, and wouldn't be able to understand the profound meaning behind it. If Lin Yi was completely relying on guessing, then his observation and deduction skills had reached an astonishing level. But what if Lin Yi wasn't relying on guessing? This thought only flashed past his mind, but it quickly grew like weeds in spring. Shangguan Feixing couldn't get rid of this thought no matter how hard he tried. Lin Yi pointed at Shangguan Liuyan and said, what's your name? Spread out your words, don't shake them. Shangguan Liuyan immediately felt extremely humiliated. However, after being slapped by Lin Yi, he didn't dare to disobey Lin Yi. He could only glare at Lin Yi, then turn his head away and pretended to spread out his words unintentionally. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with Shangguan Liuyan's little tricks. He turned to Shangguan Feixing and said, this last sentence is not complete. If I'm not wrong, your Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method was lost here, right? Otherwise, you would have at least finished writing this sentence. Shangguan Feixing was shocked again. What Lin Yi said was absolutely correct. The mental cultivation method of the Shangguan clan was incomplete from here. This was the Shangguan clan's secret, and only the direct descendants of the Shangguan clan would know about it. To be honest, at this moment, Shangguan Feixing had begun to hope that Lin Yi was really the primordial spirit of the Shangguan clan. If Lin Yi could help the Shangguan clan perfect their mental cultivation method, it would be more valuable than anything else. By then, Shangguan Feixing could even call Lin Yi ancestor, let alone Grand Master. This sentence was only half written. It's not very impressive that you could see through it. Shangguan Feixing calmed himself down and maintained a calm expression on his face. Fu Yun's Chi Thunderstrike consumes the Nangong clan's tool principle. Lin Yi didn't answer Shangguan Feixing. Instead, he muttered something out of the blue. Xianijia was completely confused and didn't understand what Lin Yi was saying at all. However, Shangguan Feishing's body shook violently. He stood up abruptly with a face full of disbelief. He then fell into deep thought. Shangguan Qinyun also felt a little dizzy. Others might not understand what Lin Yi was saying, but he was different. Shangguan Qinyun could be said to have memorized the Shangguan clan's mental cultivation method backwards. Even if he couldn't recite it, he still had the words that his father had just written for him. The last sentence only had 5 words, Fu Yun's Chi Thunder Falls. Could it be that the sentence that Lin Yi recited was the first sentence of the missing part of the mental cultivation method of the Shangguan clan? Thinking of this, Shangguan Qinyun immediately said to the disciple who was serving him, "There's nothing for you to do here. Bring little Six to heal his wounds. Without my order, no one is allowed to come here." "Yes, master." The disciple quickly went up to support little Six and walked out quickly. This matter was no longer something they could participate in. If they didn't leave immediately, they might be targeted in the future. It was because the Shangguan clan's core mental cultivation technique was missing a quarter of the most important part. If the Shangguan clan's cultivation technique was complete, they might have already dominated the entire underworld, and they wouldn't be the weakest among the 4 big clans. After a short while, Shangguan Feishing finally stopped. When he looked at Lin Yi again, his eyes were filled with passion. "Fellow Daoist Lin, where did you see this saying?" Although Shangguan Feishing didn't call Lin Yi martial uncle, there was an obvious change in his tone. At the very least, there was a hint of humility in his tone. Lin Yi curled his lips and thought to himself, "Would I tell you that I saw this on Heaven's Stage Island? Would I tell you that it was the complete mental cultivation technique personally written by Shanghai Tianhua, and that it was picked out by his obedient granddaughter and given to me? Elder Shangguan, you don't need to know where I got this mnemonic chant. All you need to know is that this mnemonic chant isn't fake." Lin Yi chuckled and continued, "Could it be that Elder Shangguan thinks that this half of the mnemonic chant isn't enough, and you want the remaining quarter of the mental cultivation technique?" Upon hearing this, Shangguan Feishing almost knelt down. He didn't know how much of his family's mental cultivation technique was missing, but he estimated that it was at least 1/10 of it. He didn't expect Lin Yi to say that there was still 1/4 of it missing. To be honest, Shangguan Feishing really wanted to call Lin Yi his ancestor. As long as he could obtain the complete mental cultivation technique, the Shangguan family's nascent soul realm would experience a surge. By then, not only would they be the leader of the 4 great families, they would even have no problem dominating the ancient martial world. Of course, if Lin Yi had the complete mental cultivation technique, the Shangguan family wouldn't be able to avoid Lin Yi and his Emerald Cloud sect if they wanted to dominate the ancient martial world. No matter what, this was a rare opportunity for the Shangguan family. If they didn't seize it, they would be punished by the heavens. Shangguan Feishing took a deep breath and squeezed out a smile that he thought was the most sincere. "Fellow Daoist Lin, let's talk about the Emerald Cloud sect first. Speaking of which, the Emerald Cloud sect and our Shangguan family have always been of the same origin. So, this time, when the Emerald Cloud sect is in trouble, our Shangguan family will definitely lend a helping hand. Of course, the strength of our help will be different depending on the situation. If fellow Daoist Lin can help our Shangguan family with the complete mental cultivation technique, our Shangguan family will bear any trouble that the Emerald Cloud sect faces. What do you think? If not, I will send someone to announce that the Emerald Cloud sect's backer this year will still be our Shangguan family." Shangguan Feishing really wanted the mental cultivation technique in Lin Yi's hands. However, as he spoke, he lost his previous humility and reverted back to his previous arrogance. Lin Yi's expression turned cold. He glanced at Shangguan Feishing and said, "Are you mistaken? I've given you face by calling you Elder Shangguan, but don't think that you're someone important. Do you think I care about the Shangguan family's protection? Don't make it sound so funny, okay?" Shangguan Feishing was stunned. What was going on? He had taken the initiative to express his goodwill. Shouldn't Lin Yi thank him? If the Shangguan family and the Emerald Clouds sect were to join forces, they wouldn't have to worry about the Qingkuan sect anymore. Especially since Lin Yi had the mental cultivation technique that the Shangguan family lacked. But what was Lin Yi's attitude? Was he looking down on the Shangguan family? To be honest, Lin Yi didn't really look up to the Shangguan family. With their cowardly attitude, where was the heroic spirit of Shanghai Tianhua? If word got out, it would be a disgrace to Shanghai Tianhua. I'll ask you one more time. In this archaic meeting, will the Shangguan family and the Emerald Cloud sect be friends, or enemies? Lin Yi's face was cold as he continued with the previous topic. You've changed the topic before, but this time, I hope you can make it clear. If you want to be enemies with the Emerald Cloud sect, then I have nothing to worry about. I'll just step on both the Shangguan family and the Qingkuan sect, and then support another sect to replace you. It doesn't matter if it's the Rising Sky sect, the Leaf Spirit sect, or even the Thousand Blades sect. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.